This is the most unethical sham since I've been in politics. And if you really wanted to know the truth, you sure as hell wouldn't have done what you've done to this guy. Are you a gang rapist? No. I cannot imagine what you and your family have gone through. Boy, y'all want power. God, I hope you never get it. I hope the American people can see through this sham. That you knew about it and you held it. You had no intention of protecting Dr. Ford. None. She's as much of a victim as you are. God, I hate to say it because these have been my friends. But let me tell you, when it comes to this, you're looking for a fair process. You came to the wrong town at the wrong time, my friend. Do you consider this a job interview?
The advice and consent role is like a job.
You consider that you've been through a job interview?
I've been through a process of advice and consent under the Constitution.
Would you say you've been through hell?
I've been through hell and then some.
This is not a job interview.
Yeah.
This is hell.
This
is going to destroy the ability of good people to come forward because of this crap. Your high school yearbook. You have interacted with professional women all your life, not one accusation. You're supposed to be Bill Cosby when you're a junior and senior in high school. And all of a sudden you got over it. It's been my understanding that if you drug women and raped them for 2 years in high school, you probably don't stop. Here's my understanding. If you lived a good life, people would recognize it, like the American Bar Association has the gold standard. His integrity is absolutely unquestioned. He is the very circumspect in his personal conduct, harbors no biases or prejudices. He's entirely ethical. He's a really decent person. He is warm, friendly, unassuming. He's the nicest person. Yay, BA. But one thing I can tell you, you should be proud of. Ashley, you should be proud of this. That you raised a daughter who had the good character to pray for Dr. Ford. To my Republican colleagues, if you vote no, you're legitimizing the most despicable thing I have seen in my time in politics. You want this seat? I hope you never get it. I hope you're on the Supreme Court. That's exactly where you should be. And I hope that the American people will see through this charade.
Well, very, very strong words there. I mean, there's lots of people that would say that maybe not deserving. There's lots of people that say that it's definitely deserving. Well, I'm neither of those people. I'm just a common sense guy, and I'm here to talk about a lot of shit. And unfortunately, there's another lot of shit in politics. And to talk to me with that shit and about that shit is my good friend, Yoga. How you doing, sir?
Very well, man. Actually, I was reading a study when I first went to school. I got fascinated in the fact that I could go to the library, and because I was a student, I could put in my student ID, and I had unlimited access to these 4 different research sites. They were search engines that just the average person can't get on unless you pay for it. And it just, I mean, all these peer-reviewed journals. You type in a topic, you're gonna find papers that have been written on it. And they were studying the effect of news on a human being. And it just turns out that if you get it the old-fashioned way, like the town crier, like you think about the town crier, if you get it that way, you know, this is just completely made up, these numbers, folks. I want to make that clear. But I am going to try to give you some kind of idea about how they said it impacted you. Your stress level went up about 15%. If you read the news, your stress level goes up about the same, a 15, sometimes as much as 20, both of them about 20%, 15, 20%. If you read the news accompanied with pictures, your stress rate goes up a little bit more, 25, 30%. If you watch the news, you see what I mean? Watch the news on TV with pictures, that is what does it. That is what triggers something in the human psyche, something almost, I mean, you think about it. I'm watching this, and from my standpoint, these things are horrible. I'm empathizing with one particular side of this, and I'm going through this. What I'm trying to tell you is I'm a little stressed. This has stressed me out. This has put me in a position where I slept about 7 hours last night, but even whenever I like to take a bath. That's my me time in the day. I have my, I don't take a long bath, but I do like my 40 minutes where I sit in the bathtub, have a large tub, brush my teeth, do my blues, have my bath. And even in my bath, my quiet space where I usually have a candle going only and an audiobook playing, I had the news going, Common Sense. And man, I just would like it to be over. I don't know where you'll choose to start, but I have lots of opinions on this thing all over the place. And all of them are pretty strong.
I completely and utterly agree, and I think most of us should have a strong opinion. Most of us should have opinions about a lot of different things. Look at this as an objective and as possible. Then we have to try and take a step back from all of this. And that goes with me as well, because I'm a bloke. I'm not really going to be trying to defend somebody that I personally think is lying about a forced rape claim. In my opinion, I'm not saying that she is lying. I'm saying in my opinion, she is. In my opinion. But we still have to have a look at everything, or at least to our best opinions. We are going to use a lot of conjecture, and these are going to be opinion-based. I really want to get the discussion out there, rather than actually having a debate on whether it is or it isn't true, or he didn't do this, or he was a virgin in high school, he wasn't a virgin in high school. This person decided to come out from the closet and say, oh, I had a talk with my buddy about 37 years ago, and somehow I realized that he said to me that he wasn't a virgin. Because, nobody's ever done that before as a lad when you're trying to talk to another lad. Ever. But no. I don't want to be talking about the ins and outs of what's actually going on. I want to talk about the actual process, what it can mean to America, what it means to politics in general, and the difference in partisan. The fact that it's completely like a Brexit idea and like a Brexit vote has completely divided the country from a left and a right to a yes or a no, or in this case, a rape, not rape. There are so many comparisons as one can be drawn from this. I think it's very interesting from somebody from the outside looking in, but I can only imagine what it's like for both parties on this occasion from the inside looking out and looking at the media circus that is going around on this, realizing that this is not just a case of whether he raped her or if she is falsifying a rape claim against him. This is Democrats versus Republicans. This is it.
I thought it was funny that one of these senators, I've watched so much, I'm going to forget which one it was, in her statement about how terrible this was for Christina Blasey Ford. She said that this has been a crucible for her. And she said this unironically, because the first thing that came to my mind was, oh, is that a joke? Because The Crucible is a movie about the Salem witch trials, and Winona Ryder's like pointing and, goody wife, what's her name, just pinched me with her spirit, sent forth her spirit, and on accusations. The accusations of crazed girls that now we look at that Common Sense. And I want to say one thing very quickly before I get to my utter opinions. I want to say one thing that is the truth. Okay. In this situation where it's unique because we've all seen the process. In this situation where you have two people that, whatever my opinion is about which one would be credible and which one wouldn't, one's a doctor, one's well-educated, one is a judge, well-educated. Both are, as far as I know, nobody's really impugned the character of either one of them to this point, where you have both of them given conflicting stories. Well, then you automatically, and besides that, in any legal case, you go right to the evidence. And the evidence is in this. I mean, the Democrats were really blowing a lot of things up, but what it comes down to is the people that Christina Ford has named said they weren't there. They don't. In one case, the case of her friend, they said that they had never met Kavanagh. She said she was so bummed out about having to go past everybody at the, I mean, what it comes down to is now that they both made their say, get that out of the way, cancel each other out. Now you come down to evidence points to Brett Kavanaugh wasn't there, man. Here, if I just was to write out my schedule like this week of what I did 36 years ago, of course, you wouldn't think much, that wouldn't weigh much, but Kavanaugh has given them his pretty much diary. Apparently his father had a unique habit, common sense, where he would keep his life down as a calendar. And on the days of the calendar, he would have little blurbs written about, and he so admired his dad that he carried on this tradition, and he handed them that calendar, and he has that. So now, I mean, the problem is don't know where, don't know when. I mean, we put all of these things together, and all due respect, Mrs. Ford is misremembering this. I'm not going to call her a liar, I guess. In my heart, though, I'll tell you some other opinions, but right now I told you, leave opinion out of it. So there, I could probably go on. I just want people to remember that. Every time I open my mouth right now, I want folks, because it's always these two women corner Flake. I think it was staged probably with his knowledge. He goes up into a room. Again, that's my opinion. But they corner him yelling in his face, using intimidation tactics, talking about a vote for Kavanaugh is raping me. Why do you want to rape me? Man, if that's not gaslighting, that's what it is. That's the definition. If you were to make a little short film of gaslighting and have an example there, you could easily just take that excerpt of that woman say, "You listen to me. You not listen to me. You rape me if you vote for Kavanaugh." I was like, what, really? This there you go. I'll leave it at that. Guy's an altar boy. They should be ashamed of themselves.
Definitely considered a Boy Scout, especially for what they forced him to bloody do on national television, as well as in the inquiry itself. Were you a virgin through high school? Yes, I was a virgin through high school. But we have a bloke here that says that you said 30-something years ago in a private conversation on two beds opposing from each other, being away, having a bit of a guy talk, that you've had sex with somebody.
Yes.
Well, that never really happened because I was a virgin all the way up to where I got fucking married.
That's unthinkable too, that a bloke would BS another bloke right there to look a little manlier.
Of course, but I think the bigger problem with this is from the left's ideals of this is the fact that at 1 minute in time they are saying that sexual freedom is absolutely amazing and it is great.
Yes.
But at the same time, they then go, "Well, this bloke had sex in high school. We got proof.
He's a piece of shit." Yes.
That proves he's a bad man. Oh, don't worry about drinking if you're a woman. It doesn't matter if you've led to certain circumstances that could have got you raped. That doesn't matter. You can drink as much as you like. That man's had one beer. He's a rapist. I think that's really, really interesting and really telling from the left in itself, that it would eat its own arguments to prove a new set of arguments. So as I just said, 1 minute ago, they're saying that it's really good and sexually liberating for everybody to have sex anywhere that they want, which is fine. I have no problems with this. They can go and do whatever they want to do. But you can't then say that it's liberating to have sex, and then the next minute in the next breath say, you didn't have sex when you were through high school. What kind of bloke does that? It kind of doesn't work.
I don't know if you heard it, common sense, but somebody came right out, wasn't it? Booker T. Washington. Cory Booker. He came right out and he was like, "Oh, Man City's a virgin. That's just standard white man Republican answer." I was like, "What?" I can't even. When I hear things like that, man, it's so horribly racist. I feel the same as I would if some uppity jackass. That's crazy, man. Yeah, you're right too. I was going to make some comparison, but I probably don't need to. Everybody in their own mind can make a comparison to some other form of racism. It's just utter blatant racism. I can't understand why. Let me ask you this too. In this situation, what would be the reason to interject race into it? What?
Absolutely nothing. But the thing is, Boom.
No, that's it. There's none. You said it. Yeah, carry on.
Yeah, but the reasons why they are doing that is because of the first bit. Doesn't matter about, well, it does matter about the white, but it's not so much about the white. It's what it denotes from it, the white Republican. It doesn't mean that you're white and you can be on the left or anything else like that. It's the pejorative of the two words that are put together. You are a white Republican. That means that you're always going to say you're a fucking altar boy. You're always going to be this really good person. The reason why Democrats don't like the Republicans generally, especially Christian Republicans, proper Christian Republicans, is because generally it makes them look bad. Because they're the ones that are going off and fornicating with a lot of people at young ages and drinking heavily and doing the parties that they want. I mean, even Obama come out and said, yeah, I've done some blow and yeah, I've smoked some weed. That's fine. But somebody that's a judge going off and having a drink and sometimes getting drunk at some point in his fucking life.
He's going to bloody football games with lads. He's going to play football games with lads, man. I mean, what do? He has a few pints. Also, he pointed out that when he's 18 in the cases, 18 was the legal drinking age in this country at that time. He wasn't even breaking the law. No, but I mean, they're tearing some things apart that are so obvious that they stand on their own and don't really need defense. Such as he wrote, getting back from the game this morning and piecing together my memories about last night. And they're saying that is a example of he drunk till he's blacked out. Dude, I don't know if that's an expression there, but that is something that one would say if you're conveying it was a hell of a time. We did so much stuff. I'm putting it in order right now, man, because it was great. It was like a dream, and they're trying. I can't believe they had him explaining boof. Apparently, I don't even know if it's true. Devil's Triangle. I always thought like a Devil's Trio was where two dudes was humping a chick. I really thought that.
Yeah, that's Devil's Triangle. That is.
I don't know what
two blokes doing a finger.
Yeah, I thought so. But then the boof, I have no idea.
Yeah, I have no idea what that is. I don't know what that is.
Whether he's being disingenuous or if it meant something different to him, I don't know. It sounded like the kid that did a lot of drinking in his day, so it wouldn't shock me if the Devil's Triangle thing was similar. All I'm going to say is this: as a good Catholic, which he appears to be, these people honestly believe that if they don't get back to their priest and confess a sin like lying, which would be a mortal sin,
yes, indeed,
they're going to fucking hell. They believe this rigidly too. Now, they don't think they'll stay there forever, but they do think that maybe they'll be roasting and boiling and roiling in a sea of lava for, 2-3 million years.
Yeah, it won't be long. It won't be long.
Yeah,
nicely cooked.
The skin burn off and then grows back. Skin,
that's similar to
melting and growing back.
That's very similar to Muslim hell, to the point where the fires will lash your skins off, but after you've died, you would be reborn in hell, and you'll also have your skin burn off again, as it would never happened. Or to relive the experience. Though I would say one thing about the Catholic thing, just so I'm being partisan on this point, is the fact that even if you do lie, or even if you do have any sort of any sort of mortal sin that you've committed on earth, if you're actually able to go to confession and actually say to your priest or in the confession box, so speaking directly to God, and you're able to, it's just the way I am. But if you're able to do that, then it's a case of your sins, what you told God, will be completely absorbed and you actually be able to have a clean slate. But that's the Catholic faith, obviously. That's not every faith, but that's the Catholic version of it.
Right.
So I have to throw that in there to be partisan.
Yeah, he would be terrible. Anyway, I just don't think he's lying. The best I could give Christina Ford is especially just her mannerisms there, okay, at the trial, watching her very carefully. And then I won't lie, that my main influence that corroborated what I was thinking already, I watched today. I actually had the hearing going on one side, was watching is Bombard's body language. I think it's called Ghost's body language or something now. And she was saying this is somebody that just studies people and how they act, how they move, what they do, to try to decipher whether or not they're being honest, regardless of what they're saying. In other words, they could even listen to, they could, excuse me, even watch a lot of footage without any sound there and deduce, whether or not this person is being honest. And, man, a lot of things she was doing, the way she was dressed, I looked and looked, and it was not easy for me to find a bunch of pictures of her, but I couldn't find any pictures of her with glasses on or her hair pulled back the way that it was with the little bangs back and then the front flopped over. She was doing a lot of things to make herself appear juvenile. She raised her voice a notch, made it crackle a little bit to kind of give off. I'm sorry, folks, but just from my limited experience with church people lying on other church people, a lot of these, and I'm telling you, a lot of these church people, very, very good at it. I don't mean some 16-year-old kid on this. I'm talking about grandma, 75 years old, man. Lie, bold-faced lie. But there are these telltale things.
Yep.
Those are a couple of them right there. The way she was holding her neck back, her head down to create a sense of like phlegm there. The way her voice was crackling and she rose a little bit. And it makes it easier to inflect and to emote a sorrowful, pitiful, stance. And I just, I wasn't completely happy with Kavanaugh, but it was only whenever he was pretty much laying back a few times.
Yeah.
I thought he could have been more fiery, but I don't think that really in the end would have been a good idea for him, made him look any better.
No, especially with the way that the media has now portrayed it for him. Oh, now that he's decided that he's going to show some anger, as anybody would be in his opinion, at least, being falsely accused of rape and having, I don't know, a circus of left-wing media outside of his house belittling and defaming him and defaming his family and getting his family even involved by telling all of them and everything else like that, obviously, as it would have to have been done. But it's still the same thing. This is not a type of case that has been done from any legal precedent whatsoever. This has been a shit show from start to finish. This has been a glorified witch hunt because they don't want to have a particular senator or this judge go to the Supreme Court of Justice, or be a Supreme Justice, should I say. Go on.
Oh, I don't want to cut off your thought if you're not finished. Go ahead. I got something else over here.
No, that's fine. I pretty much finished. It's just a case for me that I don't understand how people look at this and go, oh, yeah, this is a trial. This isn't a trial. If this was a trial, then they would actually have some form of evidence rather than, well, I think that it happened. And, I can't remember what happened. And that's normally what happens. Honest.
Yeah, apparently someone is asking here, the tank is asking if you could look up the score on Rate My Professor, but I can answer that for you. Tank, the problem is that she had a 2.2, 2.3, but you can't tell anymore because when you go to Rate My Professor, it just says NA after her name now, non-applicable. And so they've taken down all the comments, they've taken down and also the rating. And then the I believe it was 2.3. I don't want to make it lowball, but it was no better than 2.3. And something's reason 2.2 sticking in my head, and that is out of 5. So it was not as bad as it could be, but that means over half of the people gave her less than half. I mean, and I would have liked to have read. I'm waiting for some video to come out that somebody has recorded of her, give it. I can only imagine, man. Let's remember something. This is a bona fide pussy hat wearing, anti-Trump, resist, nasty woman is what they call themselves. She's a nasty woman. Yeah. And these people, this is what I believe, because one of the people that came out, I can't remember her name now. I sent her a thing on Twitter. She lives in Mexico now. She went down about how this gentleman stood her up on prom night. Listen, I don't doubt that she remembers what she calls raucous laughter. I don't doubt it. She was probably a geek or something. She just would have loved to given Brett or his buddy a blowjob or something, a handy, maybe just make out with him or whatever. And maybe if that topic came up, remember she was a year younger. Maybe if that topic came up, they could have laughed right in her face. Listen, I'm making all this up off the top of my head. Remember that. But I'm going to put this forward. That could happen. When you're talking about defending somebody against allegations of confining someone, not allowing them to escape, attempted rape, actual fondling, covering up the airway. Oh my goodness. There's a slew of charges there, folks. There's 6, 7, 8 charges there, all of them serious.
Yeah.
That's one. So when you're thinking about it, a defense could bring anything up to say, listen, this casts doubt. And so let's, keeping that in mind, I don't know. This whole thing stinks to high hell. And obviously I go on and on and on and on and on about many different topics. I also don't want people to forget that Feinstein, she's culpable. They leaked this, man. They're lying about it.
I'm pretty sure that they did as well. I've got a quick video that I actually want everybody to see. The reason why I want everybody to see is because it's her reading out a heartfelt, apparent testimony. I'm going to quickly change it because I want to present to everybody. So when we do start talking over it, it's not going to disappear and I can actually do it properly. So hang on just a second because I'm not screen sharing anymore. I'm pretty sure I'm not anyway. No, I'm still right. I'm being a dick. Is what's happening. I'm being a dick. Right.
I can see it. I can see the screen there.
So I wanted to show everybody this actual video. Watch how she actually talks and everything else like that.
Tell you what happened to me while Brett Kavanaugh and I were in high school. I believed he was going to rape me.
Right. I know that was all jumpy, but
when I did,
if I can actually
Brett
get to the
put his
fucking
hand
thing to
over my
stop
mouth
her.
to stop me from yelling.
Fucking, I hate my laptop,
This is
everyone. I hate my laptop. Right, so I want to just quickly try and take this fucker back because it's ABC News. It's just not fucking letting me do what I want to do.
And it's had the most lasting impact on my life. It was hard for me to breathe, and I thought that Brett was accidentally going to kill me.
Accidentally,
I
yes.
have been accused of acting out of partisan political motives.
Hang on just a second. Sorry, I am a bit of a boomer when it comes to this.
Mm-hmm. I'll take your time. Don't worry about
it.
With what degree
it doesn't even want to let me do
you
it.
believe
Right.
Brett Kavanaugh assaulted you?
100%.
What is the strongest
it. I
memory?
don't believe.
Right, so I can't actually get to the bit that I fucking want to get to anyway because it was at the beginning and it's not fucking working because I'm a boomer and can't get technology to work.
The laughter.
The laughter, even though you're smiling while you're fucking saying it.
No, the laughter, I believe it. Listen, when people concoct stories, there's always truth in it. There was laughter. I'm telling you right now, there was laughter. And I agree with
she was fucking there, but that's not the point that I'm trying to get at. The point that I'm trying to get at was at the beginning, she was reading a fucking statement to try and say, this is how I'm going to tell what's happened. If you watch there, she's reading a fucking statement when she's literally saying, I'm going to tell you exactly what happened to me. Exactly what happened to me. Look at her reading the statement. Look how many times she looks up, how many times she looks down. Even now, she's still looking down.
Her statement came out a day, at least 12 hours before I read it, word for word. It was on Drudge. It came out. I'm telling you, they leaked every damn thing. Everything. That's
not what my point is, Ogre. I think everybody's missing it. If this was heartfelt fucking peel and this was true, why the fuck is she looking down at the statement? Look how many times she's looking down. She's not even engaging the actual court. She is reading verbatim what is on the fucking paper.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's another thing that makes me believe that it's contrived emotions. If you've read something and you've written it, you've went over it. When they asked her if she wanted to correct things, I don't know who's seen the whole thing. I watched the entire thing. When they asked her if she wanted to correct a couple of documents that they had, or if she had made corrections to them, she said yes. And then she told what was the corrections? They were some minuscule grammar corrections. So she's very clear, and I mean, I'm sure I know people like this. We all do. She's probably very intelligent. She's made it very clear that she's been through things that well. Yeah. So man, how do you write something, rewrite it, and then come with the emotion over it and common sense, unless you have practice to put that emotion in there? I don't want to be rude or mean or anything. I
will. I don't fucking mind. I'll be as rude as it absolutely matters.
Yes.
Because the reason why I'm saying this is because this completely and utterly belittles people that have really been raped. If you look at any
I agree.
court where somebody is giving testimony of how they were raped, or any sort of interview of where somebody has been raped, they do not read verbatim the statement. They get angry, they have tears in their eyes, they look at you directly in your face, and they get angry about it, or they get really scared about it.
Yes.
They don't sit and look and read a statement that is forced. It's not real. It's a fucking lie, and she's fucking either really bad at lying, or she's being paid for it. And we'll get into the being paid by the DA.
Yeah, thank you. Because I was going to say, she's getting paid.
Oh, she's getting paid. That's the reason why I brought this up. You have a GoFundMe campaign that is at this moment in time at over $700,000. This is from ABC News. I even bet you that there's more money that they don't even know about.
Yeah, and let's remember, Asthmatic and any of, I'm not sure if he's British, but any of our British friends out there, let's remember that's $700,000. So what is that? Maybe 450,000 pounds. Maybe half.
No. It's about 650. It's about 650, 625. The exchange rate is dropped off.
Okay, well, it's closer than I thought. It's a lot of bollocks money, man. It's heaps.
It definitely is. It's almost enough for her to be a fucking millionaire.
It's funny how they keep. Oh, it will be. It will be. This just started. This is what kills me is that look. You want to know what to believe? Listen to the mainstream media. And then turn it around, just flip it around, because you keep hearing them say the same thing over and over. Common sense. She has nothing to gain from this. She has nothing to gain from it. 700,000. Hey, listen. If anyone's listening, if someone would like to hold me down and grab my Johnson a little bit, maybe rub the brown eye with a finger and over the clothes. Now is what I understand. In other words, reenact this alleged incident with me, and then give me $700,000. Please contact me at your earliest convenience.
And I will film it, and I will make sure that I make money off of it, as she will be making money off of the book. But
I'm fine. Yes, I'm fine with it. Just give me that 750,000. You can make a piece. I'll be fine with it. And I have to be that way. But when they say there's nothing to gain, women would never lie. No one would come forward. She's so brave. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. I just wanted to quickly get through this. The reason why, well, I've got, obviously, we've got other people that are waiting in the wings to come on as well, but I want to get through these points before we go into opinion-based stuff. We've got this that's set up as more than 700 grand, right? Now, we've all been talking about, we can all see it. So when people say, oh, there's no reasons for her to come forward, it's just destroyed her life. This is money that hasn't been given to her by the DNC to come forward or for paid testimony. This isn't money that's come through the fucking news giving her briefings and interviews. This isn't her story breaking in the Washington Post and how much they possibly paid for it. This has nothing to do with all of those actions. This is just money that's raised by a generalized public that has given her over $700,000 at this early convenience, with more obviously running. And the people want to say that she's got nothing to gain from, to the point where if we actually go to the GoFundMe page itself, she has links that are listed, or the person who created this has links that are also put down here. And I'm going to quickly highlight this one for everybody to quickly read and draw your attention to, rather than reading the whole thing. You have Heidi, who ran the other large campaign for Dr. Blaisley, is now raising funds to create a scholarship in Dr. Blaisley's name, or Blaisley Ford's name.
Immortalize her.
Obviously, she's been such a hurt woman and has done so much for the community that she deserves to have a scholarship. She deserves this. So she can always be remembered in history as the partisan fucking psychologist that got touched up by a independent or possibly a Republican judge. So she can be remembered for that in history.
Man, look at
the name done as a scholarship.
Look at those numbers right there. It makes me think of that old German beer barrel song. My God, how the money rolled in.
Oh, yeah.
Look at that.
Listen, it says that it's 502 grand. I'll quickly refresh that because that was before I actually went on. 512 grand. So since the start of this stream, it's gone up by 10 grand.
Man, common sense.
Yeah, no, I
Mercy.
wouldn't mind earning that. I wouldn't mind earning what we just done.
We're in the wrong racket, man. We're in the wrong business.
You touch me, I'll touch you, and we'll tell each other that we're Democrats and Republicans.
Yes, or
get Republican. I don't mind being the lefty.
Hey, listen. I distinctly remember in the summer of 1982 when I was 8 years old. I distinctly remember Maxine Waters as she was walking by my dear old dad and my mom and me, bent down to give me a kiss for a photo op. And when she bent down, she reached in my little boy Nick shorts, and she put her thumb in my anus.
Nice.
I'm a victim. Don't laugh. I'm a victim. I expect to be taken seriously. And well, that's what it would be coming to, honestly. I mean, it would be because there, and then see, we could split that. Because I'd say, the pain I've been through, especially being a boy and being anally, digitally sodomized that way, it's got to be worth $500,000.
I would definitely say so, especially if you're done by a priest.
No, oh man, no. It was, in fact, right after that, I went to the bathroom weeping. No, I shouldn't carry on in that vein. But that's what it's going to come to. Look at this Avenatti when he's come out. Oh, I was present when Brett Kavanaugh was standing on line to take his turn at the drugged, bedraggled, drunken woman spread eagle on the bed. For one, he does not strike me, sir. I am really sorry. Maybe he's a really good actor. He strikes me as he's probably telling the truth. He's probably virgin, well into college. He probably didn't do it. I mean, I don't know. He strikes me as the kind of guy that this is maybe not. He might be latently homosexual. Deep down inside, he might have a homo bone. I don't know. And he might not. I don't know. I'm just saying he doesn't strike me as a guy that's going to wait online to hump a chick after other dudes have humped her. I can't see that. I wouldn't do that, common sense. I don't know about you.
No, I don't like. I would never want to go in straight after another man either.
That's disgusting.
I wouldn't want to fuck somebody that was drunk anyway, because all that means is I'm emptying without going too crude into it. All it would mean is I would be emptying. That's not sex. Yeah. That's not love. That's not doing anything. That's not going to make me happy. It's just a case of emptying. I might as well just fucking get a whore. At least.
Well, I consider us. We're both men. Why are they painting our kind? Why are they painting our sex out to be that? Yes, that's plausible. That they could just, if they can accuse him of that, then I mean, we're somebody else is next, and it would be very easy for them to accuse me. I don't know about you. I don't know if you have lawyers falling out of the, hiding, waiting in the loo to pop out at the first accusation. I don't either, right? If they come and accuse me, I'm fucked. I'm done. Mm-hmm. Oh man, this is. I tell you what, I am a praying guy. And I did pray about this yesterday. I did pray to God.
It's gone the way that it has done. But that's the introduction that I actually brought into this at the beginning of this stream and at the beginning in general when I started talking about it on Twitter. Is how is this separation from Democrats and generally Republicans that generally, I know that there are media areas in the middle that are actually going, well, she didn't do this, he didn't do this, blah, blah, blah. I know this, but I'm generalizing for political effect. I'll be honest, I'm not fucking the news media. I'm doing this for effect. But you generally have Democrats that believe her, and you generally have Republicans that believe him. Now, this is not generally just because he's a Republican and she's a Democrat. Let's be honest about that. That's generally what that is and what they are. But this is not about that. This is about Republicans wanting evidence for claims that women over the men, or believing the women over anybody, regardless. That's what this is about. It's using that Me Too movement that's already been created to topple strong people. I don't mean Harvey Weinstein. I mean the people that are Asian people that decided that they were going to have sex with somebody, but because the sex was bad, the woman decided, yeah, you kind of didn't really treat me really well. You didn't buy me that steak, so I'm going to say you raped me. That's the point that this is coming out from Me Too. You also have one of the leaders of Me Too, which was actually fucking there, which is disgusting in my opinion, and completely divulges the fact of this wasn't to do with actual rape. This was to do with a promo. You had Miliano or whatever her fucking name is, who was a woman when she was in her 30s, late 30s, 36-ish, decided that she was going to have a forced relationship because, you know, women can't fucking rape, but she was going to have a forced sexual assault with a minor, even though in that state it was 16 at the time, but with a 17-year-old lad that then had to ask her, Milano, for fucking money because of the trauma that it affected him, because he didn't want to have sex with her and she forced him to.
That's that Italian. That's an Italian woman.
Yes.
That's no shit. So that's how it went down. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to break in. Carry on. I did not know that it was just like that, though. She just kind of abused him a little bit.
Oh, yeah, she abused him. That's the reason why he wanted to have money. So much so that he was going to take her to court over it. So when they had their own private meetings, I did a video on it. It's the reason why I knew so much. But when he was going to take her to court to get more money, she paid him around about 300 and something thousand pounds or 500 and something pounds, and decided that you're no longer allowed to talk about this. If I pay you the money, one of the stipulations is you can no longer talk about it or bring it up again. That's the leader of the Me Too movement.
Pound me too.
Because rape matters and rape survivors should be listened to, but only if you're female and only if it politically benefits us.
That's right. Yes, yes. Because if it could be a female accusing some Democrat of something, it would be, or in your case, Labor. Do they do the same thing over there? As the parties that way, or is it the other way around? Which one is the nasty, or do you have a nasty party that's willing to just pull this kind of
that would generally be Labor at the minute, but it depends. If it's to do with expenses and if it's to do with money and circumstances like that, the Conservatives beat Labor hand down. But doing
well, and they're all dirty here too. Yeah, that's true. Don't get me wrong. Because what they'll do is they will, the Republicans will fabricate stuff based on their, you know, what they believe in, and they'll try to tear them down morally and make them look bad that way. Well, I guess they both do that. I mean, I don't know. And they both do the same damn thing.
Yeah,
really.
I think that most people do. I think most parties and most people in generally actually try to help themselves the best way they can. If that means sometimes embellishing the truth, then sometimes you embellish the truth. Like if you're under oath, fair enough, you generally don't. But if your buddy comes up to you and goes, "Oh, I scored a cracking goal for you Americans. I scored an amazing touchdown. I ran over 50 yards. Nobody could touch me." And then the person goes, "Well, no, we threw the ball to you around about 10 yards away and you're able to get over the line eventually because you're too fucking fat to run." Bit of a difference, but you still did what you said. Embellishment.
Here's one of the issues.
Never done that.
We're always told that, well, you know, if you hold certain beliefs, the problem is that you might not be a neo-Nazi, common sense, and I might not be a neo-Nazi, but if we believe in, you know, lower taxes and small government and less whatever, you know, then we are supporting neo-Nazis because maybe one of them believed the same thing, and so therefore we're promoting violence. See what I mean? That's the logic they use to get to promoting violence. Well, look at this. There's this person just outside the state capital, the country's capital, where it says men are trash.
Yep.
And I mean, it even says in this time period that she's there that like 20 people has to take photos with her. You know, how can you promote that an entire gender is just trash? This is really starting to become.
If you go back to that picture, if you can, very, very quickly.
Certainly. Let's see here. Oh, it's that one, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, wrong one.
I can see your screen.
There we go. I'll get the right one this time, I believe.
No worries. Yeah.
There we go.
If you look at that picture, in the middle of that, you've got a picture that's black and red, which I wonder what those colours symbolise. And then you actually have on that a picture of Kavanagh, and on the actual print itself, it says Kavanagh.
Yeah.
They've already decided that he's guilty. They do not need a trial. They do not need anything. They do not want anything. They have decided because a woman, any woman, has come forward to say that they have been raped.
Yes.
And that's all it takes for people to believe and say that you're guilty.
There's a funny backstory on this sign. Common Sense is very quick, so I'll tell you. When Kavanaugh was nominated, they had this quote unquote spontaneous rally outside on the steps of the Supreme Court, and everybody was waving those signs. See that sign? That sign. They're waving those. Well, after some enterprising reporter was poking and nosing around, and in the dumpster, they found stacks of all of the other possible nominees with some other kind of slogan and their face on a similar sign. So when these people tell you, oh, this just happened, like when Dianne Feinstein tells you, oh, we didn't leak this, and I'm telling you, I didn't leak it, and none of my staff leaked it, which she can't possibly know that. And then everybody's like, oh, we believe her. No, believe this. She leaked it. She held this until this time because they couldn't get rid of him on the merits. He's definitely qualified to be there. You know what I think this is about is Roe versus Wade. Now, in my heart of hearts, I wonder what would happen to our country because of our stressed economy, knowing that 51% of black children are killed before they ever get the chance to live. I wonder, I wonder what. It'd be a lot more people, but I'd be willing to take that risk, Common Sense, to stop the mass slaughter of children. Never underestimate the loving kindness of the United States and the people here too, because people are like, well, you only care about life till it's born and then fuck that child, let it die. No, I'm sure in this country that children that were unwanted, regardless of their race or socioeconomic background, would be taken by loving couples as quick as you can say lickety split.
Lickety fucking split.
Anyway, there you go. So the kavanagh, that was engineered. When they tell you grassroots, don't buy it. I mean, look into it and make sure it's grassroots. But 9 times out of 10, grassroots movements don't have spontaneous protests where everybody there has the exact same obviously made nice sign that was printed out at a printer's.
Yeah.
Oh my God. It just, I hope to goodness that he's in. I was sure they were going to have the vote today. Jeff Flake, been following what Razor Fist has been saying on Twitter, and because he's a senator from Arizona, where Razor Fist is from, and this guy has his approval ratings in the toilet. Common Sense below 20%. I think he said 12%.
Yeah,
he's said he's resigning. Doesn't want to be there anymore. He's hanging around, stinking the joint up.
Hello.
How you doing?
Hello, Loudmouth. How you doing, mate?
I'm okay. How are you?
Not too bad, my friend. So, what do you think about this Kavanaugh situation?
I really think that the feminist assault on due process, the idea of innocent until proven guilty when it comes to men, is like a foreign concept to feminists. And that really terrifies me, to be honest.
Me too.
It genuinely makes me feel like me and every other man in America, we walk around with a target on our back, essentially.
I think that's very true.
Yeah.
Honestly, for the safety of every man everywhere, never be in a room with a feminist woman alone where there are no cameras.
Right? Any woman. Any woman, maybe.
Yeah,
I guess, yeah, but particularly a feminist woman because they're unstable, it seems.
Yeah.
To be fair, yes, I would have to say that generally most women.
I like to put a hashtag, not all women, but just any crazy feminist. Don't ever be in a room with one alone.
Never.
Yeah, you can definitely put that hashtag in if you want. I'm not going to. Generally, most normal women will not accuse somebody of rape because they know the implications and the destruction it is going to cause somebody in their family. Generally, a feminist doesn't give a shit because all they care about is their ideologue and dogma and rhetoric. That is it.
It goes beyond that. 4% of the population are sociopaths or psychopaths, okay? And they're probably an equal number of male and female psychopaths. I'm not really sure exactly how the gender breakdowns for psychopathy are, but it's safe to say a bare minimum 2% of the women in the world are psychopaths. And I really think, obviously, the only women who would ever do something that horrible probably would have to be. But I'm thinking that's 1 out of every 50 women at least, and possibly more.
Well, and
that's not a significant number.
when you get really educated too, and on these further scales, that number also increases there, loudmouth. I don't know if you're aware of that, but when you get in high levels of politics, that number increases. When you get in the high levels of the military, that number increases.
It does. Yes, I've heard of that. Like at a store, for example, a manager at a store is twice as likely to be a psychopath as the bagger.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yes.
Because one of the benefits of being a psychopath is very high intelligence and high intellect, so that they can fit into society.
That's not always the case, but it's often the case.
It's always the case because they have to falsify being a societal member and fitting into societal norms because they do not understand societal norms. They have to falsify it. It is a common trope of psychopaths and sociopaths.
That is a common trope, but it's not always the case. There are psychopaths are capable of being stupid, just like the general population.
It's 98%. It's generally considered that it is part of it. That is a common trope. That's why they would say that it is a symptom to look for.
So if somebody was both stupid but also seemed to lack human empathy, and have a psychopathic ego, you wouldn't regard that person as a potential psychopath because they're too dumb.
I'm not saying I wouldn't. I'm saying that's how psychology deems it, not how I would decide anything. That's how psychology deems it.
I've read different things on that. I don't know.
Okay, fair enough. Not a problem. But I think that we're kind of on the same pages anyway, where it's a fact of you have to be some sort of either mental retardation or you have to be mentally impaired by an illness or an affliction to even try to accuse of somebody of rape that hasn't raped you.
Like how on earth can you, how on earth can anyone live with themselves if they they told a lie that they knew ruined someone's life?
I have no idea.
It would take someone who's mentally deficient in some way to not feel immensely guilty about that.
What about over $700,000?
That would ease my conscience, sir, quite a bit.
Mine too. Like I want to do good, but I need to be afford doing good as well, or else I can just do evil.
Yeah, no, good point. It's a good point. What about you, S-Man? Was sorry, S-Man, Loudmouth? Would would $700K ease your conscience just a tiny bit?
No,
not at all. Oh, okay.
I mean, I love the money. Don't get me wrong, but it wouldn't be worth a man's life or a person's life.
No, and in the end, to be honest, the money would run out before the conscience would give up. If you just weren't, if you just weren't deficient in some way.
If I got that much money, right, I would not waste it because I want money because I need to afford something that is expensive.
Well,
I wouldn't waste it.
I'd love some money. Yeah.
What is Jan flag on the wall there?
South African.
That's what I thought.
Yep.
It's great.
I just wanted to quickly point out that even if the conscience wasn't a case of, I don't know, running out or changing, £700,000 or $700,000 is definitely a way of an incentment into actually deciding that you're going to do something. As in, you're actually going to go, oh, 700,000K, all you have to do is just say that this person raped you and stand up in court and say he raped you. You don't have to prove it, you just have to say it. I'm not sure. It's a very powerful incentive, $700,000, as well as having leadership.
A human life is worth more than that. Human life
is worth more than that. It depends on the person. I agree with you. I do agree with you.
Okay, I guess it depends on the person, yeah.
I mean, like some human life, I could is worth so little that I could be able to pay that much money for them to die.
Or even less, depending what place you are in the world.
No, I would probably have them like dead years at the moment, but some people, right? Then you just want to die, so you could pay $100 million for him to die.
Well, and you got to understand, someone like Mrs. Blasey Ford. Again, this is conjecture, but she could tell herself to justify it this. Well, if I don't stop this man at any cost, then he's going to make abortion, illegal or whatever. He's going to make it so gays can't get married, or black people have to not eat at the counter and come in the back door. I mean, they honestly believe these things. So once they tell themselves this, then that eases their conscience more than all the money in the world could. And so she could sleep easy at night with all this cash. And what kills me is I believe I heard 38 or 40 published peer-reviewed papers this lady has on all kinds of stuff in the psychology field. That, for me, that's something I've always been interested in. And she should have a scholarship based on that, not because of this.
Well, it depends on the actual point, because her profession obviously is, as you said, she's a doctor of psychology, or rather she's a doctor in psychology, and she doesn't know how trauma victims would give evidence in a courtroom, as in a forensic.
I need to add something here. The reason why they want to give her so much credit for being a victim rather for studying hard is because people of that political flavor doesn't like hard work. They like entitlement and victimization. It's very simple. That's why that is why they do not like when people are succeeding on their own, because hey, you just can't succeed, you need my help.
Yeah, no, I can see the logic in that. That
is actually why the people are usually saying that they are often very racist, because they usually apply it to race as well. But that's besides the point. But
definitively say, oh, she's definitely lying because you know what, I wasn't there. I mean, maybe she's not. I do know definitively one thing: she did not provide one.
You're roboting a little bit, Loudmouth. If you just want to restate what you said. Yeah, you're roboting, by the way, Loudmouth. Yeah.
I'm in the car right now. Can you hear me?
20% of it.
No.
Fuck.
Try it again. Go.
All right. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Let me repeat that. I'm not going to say definitively that Miss Ford is lying. All right. All I can say definitively about it is that she did not present any hard evidence to back up her claims. Okay. And the principle of innocent until proven guilty always has to apply.
Agreed.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, I keep hearing people say, well, it's a job interview. This isn't a trial. But no, here's the thing. I would ask this question too to everybody, what y'all think about this. Let's say that now that the week thing is going because Jeff flaked out on his constituents who already hate his guts. So let's just say the week is up and the FBI concludes that it as far as they're concerned, it never happened. It just never happened. Well, at that point, do someone prosecute Mrs. Ford for perjury? That's 5-year felony, I do believe, lying to the committee like that.
Well, you'd have to prove she was lying, though, and that's
I'm just saying. So there you go. I mean, if they were anyway, they're trying to get the FBI in on it. I guess if they come to a conclusion, does that mean she's a liar? So you're saying no, it would take more proof than just that.
Well, hang on a second, please. Let's just clarify this very, very quickly. In a court of law, if somebody says that you've raped me and that person has to go to court, the person who's been accused, and that person has then been acquitted of that crime or has been cleared of that crime, that proves that person is lying, regardless of going into the evidence of proof.
Yeah, but they don't turn it around that I'm aware of unless they find out that the person maliciously fabricated the evidence. They don't usually turn around then and prosecute the whoever said that the rape occurred. I think, in my mind, until the mattress girls of the world are brought to the complete light of justice, this thing will not quit. It will not end. I just weep sometimes when I can't believe that for this choir boy that I can't imagine having a beer and a sandwich with. Me and Brett Kavanaugh would not hang out. Just tell you that. Doesn't mean I don't like him. We just would not be friends, if you dig what I'm saying. But even that said, I found myself, my heart soaring when he stood up for himself yesterday, because ain't nobody standing up for you, white man in South Africa. You're fucked. You better stand up for yourself, because the world is saying that ain't nothing happening. As far as I know, they're murdering folks that look like you over there, and taking their land.
No, they are trying to, but they are not really succeeding yet. Well, not. I mean, like, I'm not really that. Yeah, I'm sure about that, but
No white farmers have been
I, for
killed
example,
out there.
don't own any land, so it's not really. I mean, it's not. It's a terrible. But it's not really personal. But you get what I mean? Yeah,
Well,
I agree with you.
I thought that the leader of the police, I can't remember what the title is for, basically the commissioner of the police, or the politician side of it, basically come out and said that there was 64 deaths, murders, attributed to farmers, as in white farmers have been killed. Over 64 of them have died.
True.
And then the president come out and said, or your president come out and said, "Now we don't have any. There is no farmers that have died. There's no farmer murders."
Man, Conscious Caracal's putting stuff up all the time, showing they torture. They a lot of times they just come and they will rape the wife and daughters of the farmer in front of them.
Let's not turn it into
right. Anyway, yes,
yeah,
I'm just saying.
Can I just say the demographic risks of people being killed there, because I think that's something that people just really should know.
Yeah, I shouldn't have got off on that tangent. I just see that flag. I think about Conscious Caracal. He's he's a crusader. But we do have this. This topic is so big, man.
No, but it's very simple. I just wanted to say some statistics, if that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's the people that are being killed, right? For example, on average, right, minorities are technically less likely, right, to be killed than a black person, right? But this is important, right? Most of the killings there are very often hate crimes, right? And those hate crimes are usually by black people targeting any other ethnic group, right? So it could be, for example, that a black racist, right? A racist towards those people that aren't his specific ethnicity, for example, right? So that means all the racial minorities and all the other blacks that aren't the same ethnicity are going to be targeted for hate crimes. So if they're black migrants, right, and a visible minority in the country, right, are very often killed. So there was, for example, if you are in a town when everybody will be Zulu and you are a Xhosa, or if you are in a Zulu where everybody will be Sotho, or something like that, and then the risk for you being killed is really likely. But it's also important to know that that farmers are way more likely to be killed than other people, right? There are more white farmers are more likely to be killed than black farmers, but black farmers are also being killed more likely to be killed than the average population.
That is riveting.
White farmers are even more likely to be killed.
Yeah,
and
no,
the
that's
organization known as Afro Forum, right? They are actually standing up for all farmers, including black farmers. And the left used to like to ignore that. But
well, now that you've got that off your chest,
can I just say, what party do you follow, my friend? Because it'll be very interesting when you get your information. Because I speak to a lot of South African people, and I have a look at a lot of South African evidence. And sorry, what you're saying is not true.
What?
So
I'm saying that's true.
Sardonic 7 says, "Fucking Zulu's acting up again. Where's Michael Caine when you need him?"
Anyway, let's get back to the
yes.
Let's get back to the actual cabinet.
We're losing them on this. We're losing them. They're dying.
This is information I've gotten, right? If that information is wrong, it's not my fabrication. It's that people have told me wrong. It's not I've gotten it wrong.
Oh, that's good. So, have you been following this Kavanagh thing there, Jay Willie? Is that the name?
Yeah, I have.
Yeah,
I find it to be quite hilarious, to be honest.
What's the funny thing?
No, I think it's terrible, but the hilarious part is how you see that they're showing that the mainstream American left are showing the true colors, and that's actually quite ugly colors, and it's quite hilarious.
Yeah, better believe it's ugly.
Agree with that. I completely not agree with that. Just a quick question to the chat. You can carry on straight after Jay Willie. Quick question to the chat, because I know that I do have some left-leaning people in the chat. Is there anybody that believes Ford, the doctor? Is there anybody at all? Now, I don't want you to get in here to have a ruckus with all four of us. I don't want that. I just want to understand why you believe her and the reasoning behind it with the evidence that's been given. So if there are any left-leaning people or any people that just believe her in general, can you let me know on Twitter, let me know in the chat, and I will send you the link and you can come on. And I just want you to explain why. I don't want to debate you. I don't want to fucking go after you. I just want to understand why you believe in it and understand why our thought processes is different to how you believe. I just want to just to know. That's all. So please carry on, Jay. I know you had a point.
Oh yeah, but something else I need to address. If something I said before was incorrect, then please correct me later because I want to know what's true.
Oh, he'll correct you. He's got a little book with everybody's mistakes.
If I've said have wrong, then that wasn't really. Then if what I said was incorrect, then I actually think it's true. So then I must be wrong. I'm not lying. So you're saying
no, nobody's calling you a liar. Crack on though.
No, that's fine. All I suggest you do is get in contact with somebody on Twitter and on YouTube who's called Conscious Caracal, as in how the big cat is spelled. Conscious Caracal.
Yeah, I've already followed that guy. He's awesome.
Yeah, and he'll give you some of the facts that you might need.
He's got it down. He knows his stuff. Good endorsement.
I trust that guy. He's not watched so much of the thing I have to say, but I still trust him really much.
Yeah.
Eye on the prize, Jay Willie. Eye on the prize.
So, by the looks of the chat, there isn't anybody that believes Ford. In fact, everybody is. I know people weren't here for the last stream, but for the audience that watched last Friday's mayhem stream of last week, of the Sun story of the turtle stuck in the vagina. Yes, that was a true fucking story. Everybody's saying that there's a free Ford's turtle. So well done for that, Mr. Howard Spud. You have won this week's comment of the week. So well done, you.
Ford's turtle. Oh my goodness, that is.
So well done on that one, Mr. Hammered Spud. You win. You've won the internet for this week.
You disgusting, just shameless pig. But I love you. We love you.
So on the panel, obviously, because I've asked the chat, and the chat has been as responsive as fucking ever. they're too busy in talking amongst themselves as always. Does anybody on the panel have any sort of inkling that Ford might be telling the truth? Because I can play devil's advocate and I don't mind it, but I wanted to see if somebody.
Sure, I can try to play devil's advocate. I usually think that it doesn't really. I mean, like if she's telling the truth, then then she does. But the thing is that I don't care. That doesn't really is the most important thing, because if you cannot present the evidence, right? When I know, I don't care. I don't just right now before anything is done. I don't care if it's true or not, because we don't know, right? So therefore I do not want to judge her or him based on something that I do not know. So it's not that I don't care in the sense that I don't actually care. I just don't think that we should judge her or him based on something when you haven't found out if she's lying, because as long as we haven't proven that she's a liar, right? Then I'm not going to treat her as a liar. And if she hasn't proven that she's guilty, then I'm not going to treat her as guilty, because the presumption of innocence lies on her as it does on him. But if she would like to distract for that and say that he should be punished without presumption of innocence, then I have no problem with revoking her presumption of innocence either.
Sure.
Well, if you tell someone that they're a victim, okay, let's face it, let's see, it was just my second year, probably third semester. I was in child psychology, and a professor called Dr. Baskin was my professor. He was great, man. And he looked around at the start of the year, and there was myself and 3 other males. And I mean, in a class, this is a class of, I don't know, 75, 80 people. And he was like, I'm so glad to see all the males here, and he wasn't joking. And then by midterms, there was myself and 1 other male. I thought for sure he'd hang on, but he didn't make it. At the end, I was the only male that graduated. Or excuse me,
Cool.
went through that class, I should say. My graduating class, when I graduated, there was only a couple other males in the, and that's a shame, but it takes a masculine element out of it. Long story short, when you tell someone they're a victim, I think she believes something happened to her. I'm not sure if this exact thing. I would like anyone that's my age or older, anywhere around 45 or older, to think back to 15. Try to recall anything that was bad. Try to recall it exactly. It's a very funny thing, time and memory. Mm-hmm. Anybody that studies the human psyche should be really sensitive to that. So I'm going to say this. I've always believed that she believes something bad happened to her. I also believe there's an element of deception in what she's doing. But I do believe she's convinced herself that this person has not only wronged her. Let's not forget that Brett Kavanaugh's mother presided over a case of foreclosure against this young lady's parents. There's a history. There's reasons. That's all I would ever say. But I do believe she thinks she was wrong by Brett Kavanaugh. There's no doubt in my mind that I believe that. Just how. I don't believe her version of how she was wrong. I do. I keep saying it, common sense. I have to yell it. How many do you know? Mrs. Ogre and I, we've separated ourselves from a lot of people, but Mrs. Ogre very early in our relationship just didn't have any more girlfriends. Man, there's a reason why. And maybe Mrs. Ogre's just been unlucky. Maybe I've been unfortunate. But I've noticed one thing. If you diss a female in certain ways, common sense, you better watch your back forever. And I believe this is a case of that raucous laughter. Don't forget that quote. That raucous laughter. She got laughed at by these boys one way or another. And that was it. That's it. And now she hates him. He'd screw up abortion. He's just an evil white Republican. She can remember back there, and he's evil now. And it's wrong because you disagree with somebody. It's wrong. There's the victim here that I see is Brett Kavanaugh. I'll say that.
I completely agree with you. I honestly do think that the victim here is Kavanaugh. I don't think that Beasley Ford has come forward with the best of intentions. If she did come forward with the best of intentions, she would have come forward when he was first nominated as a judge. If this case was literally about what she says it is, about stopping him from gaining any sort of form of power or influence, why didn't she stop him when he was a lawyer? Why didn't she stop him when he was first coming to a judge? Why didn't she stop him when he started to work for the Bush government? It's not like he hasn't been in positions of power most of his fucking working life.
Second most powerful court in our country, common sense. You knew that, right? Yes. Second most powerful court in our country. This guy is no joke. He's not just coming on the scene right now. He worked for Ken Starr whenever they were looking into Bill Clinton. He's been around. He actually, I'm not assuming you don't know this, but these are little known things they're not talking about. He's had such background checks to the degree that he had access to the nuclear codes.
Yeah, he's got one of the highest security clearances in the land.
Yeah, he doesn't have that now, but he did at one time when I believe he worked for George W. Bush, and he had the access to the nuclear. I can't do it again quite like that, but that's it. I mean, what do you want? I really am worried that in the interim they're going to drum up some more stuff, and/or when it's done, just say, well, even though we did this and the FBI says this, we don't care, and it's just worthless anyway. This flake that I'll tell you one thing. That's the problem, is that he resigned. But everyone else, people that are planning on being there, if I was the majority whip right now, I'd have them all on the phone one at a time, common sense, and I'd let them know, you will not get any super PAC money. You will not get any fucking endorsements from anybody. I'm taking your key to the good toilet away. You go shit in the public restroom down in the rotunda. You know what I mean?
No, I do. I understand exactly where you're coming from, and I do think that politics would do that. But looking at that from a partisan sort of point, I don't think that you can probably do that. I don't think it's a good idea. But
they do that all the time. They just can't
I
do
know
it
they
to fight
do.
because he's
I know
done.
they do. I know they do, especially if you look at the way that the Democrats and everything else was, as you quite rightly pointed out already. One of them was
call him right in the room.
Yeah, one of them was actually going to stop. One of them was actually going to vote in favor of Kavanagh, and actually stated that he was inkling to do it, and then was stopped saying, as you quite rightly said, "Oh, if you vote for Kavanagh, then you're voting for raping me."
Well, and then common sense in front of the American people in the world, he goes into this little ante room. They kept calling it an antechamber, with nothing but his buddy, who is a Democrat, and other Democrats. Why is this guy off with these people? Why? This should be done. Everyone is severe. Not everyone, but you started with a really good example of one that's not. But the majority of people right now are just lining up and not looking at the fact that, man, can you imagine? You and I are kind of rogues, all right? Maybe not terrible. I don't think either one of us should be in prison or not like that, but you and I are kind of on the bad end of the spectrum of boys in school or whatever. Maybe we're a little mischievous is what I'm trying to say. I don't even think he fit that bill, man. Can you imagine what this guy is feeling right now? Whether he must just feel, well, my life of church on Sunday, working out with the boys and trying, virgin for years. It's all for nothing now. They're calling me a rapist.
Yeah, no, I definitely understand where Kavanagh would be.
Little girls basketball coach, for God's sake, man.
Even if it's little boys basketball coach, it doesn't really fucking matter. No, it matters that the fact is that he now can't do what he loves. He can't do certain things, and if this allegation sticks to him, he won't be a judge. Anytime that he's ever presiding or presides over a rape case, there would always be an inkling of, did he rape her? Did he? Didn't he? Did he? Didn't he? And this is now fucked his career, all because that he dared to be able to put himself as a nomination or a nominee, or in actual fact, somebody else nominated him, Donald Trump, obviously. But because Trump nominated him, it comes to the point of now his life has been absolutely turned upside down because somebody wanted to make claims about him raping somebody. Now, I'm not saying that she's wrong. I'm not saying that she's a liar. I don't know. But the way that the evidence has been provided is a farce. The way that the whole court itself has been a farce. The way that it's a case of, for me, if you were doing this to protect women and girls for him having a position of power, why didn't you do it when he was a lawyer? Why didn't you do it when he was a sitting judge, a circuit judge, sorry, in America? Why didn't you do it as when he actually went to a higher judge position? Why is it a case of you didn't do it when he joined the Bush government? Why is it now that Trump's government is the one that you want to do it on, that you want to come forward and you want to discredit this man in general? Why is that?
Well, they hate our rightful God King Trump. They just hate him.
I like him. I wish he was my president.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. I do think it's a case of them doing it. I do wish that one of the Republicans, when they were able to talk to Ford, I don't know if they did do it. I don't know. But I would honestly like to know if they pressed her on why she didn't come forward earlier. I know they asked her once. I know that. But I want to know if they actually pressed her on it.
Yeah. They didn't press her on nothing, man. I mean, that's the whole deal. They got that prosecutor lady up in there, and I'll be honest with you. I'm just going to be bluntly honest with you. I wouldn't give 2 cents in a popcorn fart for her. Wouldn't give nothing for her. She was useless. I mean, and for one thing, she even said it at the end. She was like, "Well, are you aware as a psychologist that?" Well, I don't think she said it as a psychologist, but she heavily intimated it. I could tell that lady could have done her job well, but she just didn't do it. She didn't do it.
Yeah. I think the prosecutor did quite well in proving the fact that she was full of shit. I think that anybody that studies psychology would know how trauma victims would go to court to be able to testify. They would know what the process is. And if they don't know what the process is, why weren't they doing research on how they would do it, considering they wanted to come forward? As in going through a forensic interview with lawyers. Why wasn't that pursued? Why wasn't that chased down? Why didn't the Democrats pick up on it? Why didn't the Republicans pick up on it? The fact that a professional psychologist, a teacher of psychology, didn't know how trauma victims would have been giving evidence in court. How does a psychologist not know that?
Mm-hmm. She knows. She does. I mean, I'd like to wish I still had access to those journal sites I told you about. I probably can still use my old student ID, I should say. But I'd like to see what she's written papers on. I'm sure the way she was throwing down, like, this is burned on my hippocampus. She was really trying to portray, like, I know how I remember this one thing, even though I don't remember anything else. Well, remember what she said. She remembers the hallway. The funny thing is, listen, she remembers everything you would remember if you got bent over and raped. So you're at a swimming party, right? When you're 15 years old and now you're 51. And when you were off to change into your street clothes, somebody comes in and gives you old business. You're going to remember a few things about that instant when you're 51.
Yeah.
And it would be kind of what she said. You would remember maybe the color of what you were looking at when that was. I mean, see what I mean? And she seems to have, I don't know. I mean, I'm now apparently being accused of not giving the presumption of innocence to everybody by memes. I'm not sure what he meant by that.
I've sent him a link because I want, as I said, we're not going to be here to debate necessarily, but I want to hear.
No, I wouldn't mind talking to him. Yes, I really would, because it's, all I'm saying is, whenever I'm not just willy-nilly. I listened to her live. I went back and watched it again, and as I said, I know that Bombard's body language. I'm not sure if she has what degree. I know that she just studies people. I would say she's very reliable. I don't always like what she says because I may like the person she's doing on, and what she's telling me is this person's being dishonest or they're withholding information, or something to that effect. But when looking at her technique and going back with her on it, she knows what she's talking about. And this person is, she's being deceptive. Now, I don't know what that means. I think she's taken an instance that really happened to her, and she's possibly knowingly, possibly not, superimposing Brett Kavanaugh in place of the bad guy. There's memes of destruction to tell me how I'm a horrible
before we proceed, I need to say this. Is that when I was on a live stream with some dumb Americans, she mentioned that what about Ranting Monkey? I don't remember who said it, but they said that if you can, like, for example, mislead yourself to the point that you're actually going to believe something that isn't true. Like, that you can literally fool yourself into believing something that wasn't true. And speaking as someone who took psychology in high school, right? I've actually done that to myself, and it actually worked. I'm not kidding. It did work.
Yeah.
Well, let memes tell me what's my miscarriage of justice, memes?
Oh no, I was just asking in general for society. That's all.
Yeah, but I'm not sure when I give up anyone's, because anytime I've ever said anything, I've always tried to be careful today.
Just see his face.
I will be clear. I will be clear from watching the two. If I didn't know either one of them, I want to believe, because I am biased as all human beings are, but I do want to believe that I just took a look at both of the people. One appeared to me to be being deceptive about something. What? I can't tell. Only this person would know. And one did not. One appeared to be very angry and probably hurt, and a lot of fear. I think that the anger was stemming from fear. And yes, of course, on the latter, I'm talking about Brett Kavanaugh. On the former, I'm talking about Dr. Ford. And I've watched her testimony now, parts of it, 10, 11, 20 times, memes, because there's things she's doing. look for Dr. Ford. And I didn't cut you this. I've been here for a while and talking, so I do want to hear what you had to say.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. I watched the entire thing? No. I listened to a fair bit of Dr. Ford's testimony earlier in the day. I also did listen to a good bit of Mr. Kavanagh's, especially a lot towards the tail end, and was listening to it live when Senator Graham had his piece with him as well. And that's the thing is, I'm not really sure what to believe anymore. I mean, so many folks, this really does seem to be just really down partisan lines. I hopped on Twitter for like 5-6 minutes earlier, and it's like, all right, if you tend to be more of a rightish person, you tend to just support Judge Kavanaugh. If you tend to be more of a leftish person, you tend to support Dr. Ford. So there's just so much. It reminds me kind of Brexit-ish, kind of just folks.
Yeah, I alluded to that at the beginning in my introduction. That it's literally drawing down party lines, and it's literally segregating everybody. It's polarizing people into specific corners rather than people actually looking at this as a logical exercise and looking at either evidence or statements or witness statements. Everybody's just going, now he's guilty, now he's safe. Why does it matter? This is not a point of public opinion. This is supposed to be a committee that is deciding on particular evidence that is supposed to be provided.
Thank you.
Not public opinion.
Yes. But if you look at it just simply from there, let's remember only one person means in this situation is being accused of a crime. Only one person. And when you accuse somebody of a crime like that in a situation where you have an upstanding citizen that apparently until just recently has never been accused of any such thing like that. I mean, you have to really start weighing things. And in this instance, I don't want to impugn Dr. Ford. I actually when I looked into her a little bit, memes, I look up to her because I love the field of psychology, studied it for many years.
Yeah,
and she is far beyond me in that field. I've got to admit, she's a super intellect.
But before we have a rebuttal from anybody else, I know Jay Willie has been trying to get in for the last couple of seconds, so please go ahead, sir.
Oh, it's the thing, sir.
Finish your mouthful first, mate. You're fine.
You throw it over right as the guy.
Eat them fucking noodles, boy. I love noodles, man. You're killing me with that.
It's wrong that I'm having noodles with soy sauce.
Oh, so great.
Your sins are forgiven, my friend.
Yeah, smack ramens, man. I smack somebody for some ramens. I love them things.
Oh, thank you. The thing about it is that, personally speaking, as I said, is that I just want not someone to be convicted without evidence. And the reason why I support him is not because I'm right wing. It's because I'm technically, when I did a compass test, I was middle in the middle of centrist, like neither one. But I always prefer to have a Republican on the Supreme Court judge because I really don't like the Democrats. Like, And when we talked about this in my family, that my family are way more left than I am, and they didn't believe that this was just a bunch of insanity, and you should hold the presumption of innocence, and you cannot know anything until it's proven. And they believe the presumption of innocence to be important, right? Even my mother agrees with us, all of us on this, and she's like a feminist socialist type, but even she agrees with us.
Yeah.
But she also hates the Democrats, so that's also a thing.
Your mother is a feminist socialist?
Yeah.
Lord have mercy on your soul, son. I'm so sorry to hear that.
But she's very nice, and she for some reason but she always talk, but she doesn't she hates the ANC government, and she really don't like the Democrats, so she's not like the worst kind of person, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's fine. So basically what you're trying to suggest is that it doesn't matter if you're left or right. It has something to do with the ideology of listen and believe. And if you're a follower of listen and believe, then you're going to go one particular way. And if you're not a follower of listen and believe, then you're going to go the opposite way as presumption of innocence or guilt.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah, that's the thing.
That's exactly what it is. In this day and age, too, please, everybody's got to remember, I don't want to be too breathless. We talked about at the beginning. I told common sense my flat out feelings. I'm going to shy away from exactly that. But I do want to say this. Let's remember, if this can happen to Brett Kavanaugh or Dr. Ford, I don't care which side you're on. Well, and it can happen to anybody. But we can't Mrs. Ford, Dr. Ford, nothing's going to happen to her, as we've already discussed. If he even goes to the Supreme Court, nothing's going to happen to her. She may have some thoughts or memories or whatever in her heart that she's going to deal with that she was dealing with apparently anyway when he was on the appellate court in D.C. But if it's the other way, I mean, oh man, I don't know. I think they should have voted today. I don't hope that Jeff Flake chokes tonight while he's eating dinner and dies while he's gasping and trying to get air into his lungs, turning blue, while no one knows how to give him the simple Heimlich maneuver. I don't wish that right now as we speak, and hope that he fucking, that happens. But it wouldn't break my heart. What a piece of shit. I mean, he's let down. To me, when you're a public servant, okay, memes, as harsh as that sound, no, I don't want him to die. It was just hyperbole. I was trying to be funny in a dark way. But when you're a public servant and you know that your constituents, and in this case, it's Flake and God rest his soul, McCain, may rot in hell. No, I shouldn't say that either. But when it comes down to it, these guys, man, they're elected to be public servants, and they shit on the people by doing exactly what they know their constituents would not want them to do. And Jeff Flake is doing that right now as we speak. He should be ashamed of himself. He's hurting.
I would like to add to that. I think the whole process of what the Democrats themselves are doing goes against the core principles of what the left is supposed to be, which is supposed to be the fact of it being the logical left. Supposed to be, mind you. Let me finish points before people want to tear them apart. But it's supposed to be the logical left. And it's supposed to be the point of using science and everything else like that to be able to debunk and follow what's going on and whatnot, and so on and so forth. They're not doing that. They're literally parading this farcical of a court proceeding, because that's what they're trying to portray it, especially if you look at the way that the media is portraying it, especially in America as well as in the UK. I don't know what it's like in other countries. I can't give an expression on that.
It's horrible.
But I can imagine. But that's the point. It's the fact that it's a court session that is now being done in the public eye and supposedly in a public interest. So, yeah, for me at least, the left themselves, even though they're supposed to be listen and believe and so on and so forth, are still supposed to be on an evidence-based process. The evidence that has been provided in this inquest is a case of, I said that I thought that I was raped, and I can't remember who actually did it, but I'm 100% sure that Kavanagh did it, but it might have been Judge. I'm not sure, but I'm 100% sure it was Kavanagh, and my friends will corroborate me. Friends, one by one. No, we weren't there. No, I have no idea. And no, she wasn't there.
And she also just happened to say it just when he was appointed to the Supreme Judge by Donald Trump. Like, that has nothing to do with anything, right? She should have said it anytime, but just now. Yep. And she doesn't really remember if it was him or not. So,
memes, what about that?
When do we fucking buy this shit?
Yeah.
When do we stop the presumption of not innocence, but when do we assume that this person is being dishonest when all of her own called witnesses are saying we don't know anything about this?
Just from what I've seen right now, I don't see anything beyond a reasonable doubt, and even the preponderance of evidence. I mean, maybe there's other stuff out there. I really haven't seen it yet, and you have to be fair, because even President Trump, he's allowed for a week for the FBI to look into the situation and stuff. So it kind of, you put a cutoff date, you actually apply federal resources to look into something. If there's something there, okay, maybe you find out something. If there's nothing there, then you present the evidence. And the reason why I asked that question, Mr. Ogre, is I even remember when I was growing up, they always taught us, we presume innocence before guilt. That's something that's supposed to be one of the core foundations of our nation.
Oh, shit, I thought that's what I was doing.
Well, no. I was asking that. No, I was asking that as a question in general in our society, because even when I was growing up, it always seemed as soon as somebody got on the news, everyone's like, they must have done this, or I'm like, they're always getting dragged through the court of public opinion. I'm like, I'm not sure if I've ever witnessed presumption of innocence in my life.
Yeah, no, it's a rare thing, man, because like you said,
go ahead, Willie.
The presumption of innocence has been killed off a long time ago in many at least Anglo-based countries, because family court doesn't follow the presumption of innocence because of feminists destroy them in order to break down the family and replace fatherhood with the state. Which is one of the reasons why
I think those were folks.
Memes, hang on a second, Memes. Even if you don't think that it is a case of breaking down the families, even you yourself would definitely agree that fathers get less custody than men. That fathers get less custody than women, generally. You have to agree with that. So let Jay Willie carry on with his point, so then you can refute him at the end, please.
And I just didn't say that there are a lot of, for example, feminists doesn't believe that thing. They use the same ideology to construct a different approach to it that wouldn't result in anything like that. I'm just talking about the type of feminism that has been dominating changing our society, not all flavors of the entire ideology, because it's a broad ideology. So I'm just generalizing how our society has been influenced. Not all feminists are against the family, right? Mm-hmm. It's a broad ideology. I just letting people know, right? I was just being generalized in how it's applied in the world.
Yeah, no worries. Carry on with your point. Carry on with your point. We understand.
Oh, should I have gone? Oh, yeah, and well, and that is the reason, because in family court, right, only women have presumption of innocence in family court as it stands today. Which is, and if that's the case, then you have an unequal, and then you doesn't have the presumption of innocence all across the board. And that's not just when it comes to presumption of innocence in family court, right? That have been revoked in other places. Like if a company does business in Sweden, right, and the government accuses them of something, right, the people accused must provide proof, right, or else the government can tax them even higher. So they their government just pick out the company that they suspect, and then the government have to prove something. And if the government can't, they need to pay the government extra money because they are found guilty of something. And that's not presumptive innocence either. And when I talk about family court, that's not really the case in Central and Northern and Southern Europe. It's most likely in the Anglosphere that's the case. So it depends on where you are in the West. The presumption of innocence are being revoked one way or another, and it's mostly by the left.
Yeah, no, I completely not agree with you there. I do completely not agree with you. Memes, you wanted to have a comeback, so if you wouldn't mind, if you're there, obviously still.
Yeah, no. See, my big thing with this is what I generally took away, especially based upon perhaps the remodel, having two front doors, just because that seems to be why the heck would somebody do that? And if it was actually explained in documentation of therapy, that leads me to believe that perhaps there was something that happened. As far as corroborating evidence as well, you're looking at what happened here, and if the letter, why I do believe that there's a certain level of credence would be if this letter was when he was on the short list, because I have talked with far too many gals, and I would like to probably freely admit that at times they'll mention horrific things that have happened to them in their life, and just so many folks, they just either deal with it, they move on, they put it into a small little ball. And what would be a trigger for that? If you saw, like, if he was named and then all of a sudden it was a Twitter accusation or something like this, it's like, okay, is somebody just trying to smear somebody? But if you see that a person whom she believes did this to her is up to potentially be on the Supreme Court, and she writes a confidential letter. She goes to an encrypted WhatsApp to the Washington Post or whatever the periodical it may have been. Going through that, and then even at that point saying, I don't want to go public, just hoping maybe Senator Feinstein or whoever it may have been in a private session with the judge may have asked, sir, have you ever done anything that would be deemed inappropriate in like a sexual, just asking whatever behind the scenes questions. That was not done, and she did not want to go forward. And the fact that this was leaked, which it brings it into a political thing. And it is like Senator Graham kind of said, it's like, this is not Bill Cosby. And that's why I even brought up either on this show or maybe it was the Red Eye the other day. It's just, if this did happen and he were to get up there, stood up there and said, I was a young man, I was drinking, I made mistakes, To Dr. Ford, I would like to apologize for my misconduct. I become a better person over my time. I hope that the rest of my life shows that I have moved on. Because here's the thing, dude. I believe
be done.
No, but here's the why. Why? Why?
And why would you do that
if
this
wasn't President Trump? Would it be this
way?
way?
Both of you, calm down. Both of you, calm down.
What if you were innocent, man? Would you do that if you were innocent? Why would
oh
you do
fuck
that?
no!
So stop for a second. Even if it was a case, memes, that he come forward and said that because he did it. Say, for instance, he did do that. As soon as he comes forward and says that, then the Democrats will say that he should not be going into being a Supreme Judge and blah, 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 and have a look at what else that's going on and everything else like that. The point is, even if he has done it, which he hasn't, and I don't think he has, you would not come forward and do that. Because even if you think, okay, well, yeah, nothing really happened and whatever, you wouldn't come forward and admit to that. You just wouldn't. But
yeah, I agree.
Before we all go into different allegations of this, I just wanted to quickly show you, memes, something that's happened in my country, which I did a video on a couple of, about 5-6 months ago. Woman jailed for 10 years for making series of forced rape claims. I know this is an extreme point, an extreme situation, but the point is still made.
Huh.
Emma Bill, 25 from West London, invented 4 separate incidents of sexual assault, one of which led to a man being wrongly convicted, and he was jailed for 10 years because of it.
Oh, say it ain't so.
And that's from somebody that has been proven to be a fake and a liar. To the point where herself had to go to prison because of it.
So
I don't know how it is over there, but over here, a lot of rapists, they get the old diddly-do in prison because, you know.
Yeah.
Like,
I think that she deserved 20 years in prison.
Oh, she sent an innocent man to jail. That's wrong.
No, I think the 10 years is perfect because he did 10, but she should do whatever.
No, let me just clarify. You should have the double.
Let me just clarify. Let me just clarify for a second. This woman herself, even though it's an extreme example, didn't just get one man sent to prison. She alleged that she was attacked by 6 men. All of them did not attack her. They weren't even in the vicinity of her.
I remember this.
She is also a lesbian and in a lesbian relationship with another woman. When asked the reasons why she did this, she wanted attention and was getting back at her partner.
Damn. Man.
I will link it in the description box, in the actual description box, for anybody that wants to read it.
Yeah,
I'll
you
also
can't
try
make
and
that
find my actual video that I did on it. Because
I remember that. It's as soon as you got in it, I jogged my memory because you covered that, man. That's and you know, I don't want to be too breathless about it, but there you go, boys. That's how serious this is. And the idea whether you have this what's her name? Yum Harimoto, the lady from Hawaii. There she's talking about, you know, you just got to believe them, and that's it. Shut up, man. Shut up, step up, and believe them.
Well, CSG, just based upon that article right there, I mean, would you say the truth eventually that came out?
Yes, but the point is that the truth did come out. But an innocent man went to prison for over 5 to 7 years, as well as all the other men that have been dragged through rape cases, to some of them going to court, and then friends have actually disowned them, and the damage has already been done of a rapist being accused.
Already done. Yeah, already done. And if you don't have the money, I mean, it's just so many things. I'm not going to go on because I would just agree.
Oh, that's a very fair point, Ogre, because here's the thing. If you happen to be of very sound means, you'd have the ability to hire counsel that would be able to mount the best defense. If you're not in that position, a lot of folks, they proverbially just get screwed over by the system.
Hey, look, I live in a small town.
Let me just preface what this person was. This person was a person on a council estate from a ghetto. She did not have money to get a decent lawyer. The people that she accused were working people that had the money to get a mediocre lawyer. The level of lawyership, as a pun, is in the person's favor that has been accused. But yet, because of listen and believe the woman over the man, an innocent man was sent to prison because of it for over 5 years.
Well, I mean, oh, go ahead.
I think that's completely horrible. The concept of gendering something like that is terrible.
Yes, I completely not agree.
Especially when it goes against scientific evidence. But that's besides the point.
So prison would be bad enough, but if you were innocent, I mean, I don't know if anybody ever has had dreams. I've had dreams before of being like incarcerated. They're always a little strange.
I remember that one.
I would say you were.
I think you've already done.
You were doing, you dirty boy.
No, I think you've already made the Jungian connections there, Mr. Ogre. You know,
I would have never imagined you could do that with peanut butter. But anyway,
I've been there too, man. I've been there too. Yeah,
it's definitely on the top. I would say in the top 3. I would be more afraid of 10 years in prison than sudden death, because sudden death, what the hell do you know? Foop, you're gone. 10 years in prison, you're gone for 10 years in prison.
But I just did want to follow up on CSG's just point right there, just kind of loop it back around to the whole Kavanagh hearing thing.
Yeah, sorry about that.
In that thing, terrible things happened. They shouldn't have happened in that instance. The truth did end up coming out. So this gal, she's now going to do the time for it. So the truth came out, and I tend to believe we all would like to see the truth come out, because then we can get as close to an objective reality as we can. That is why I brought it up.
I agree, but the reason why I brought this story up specifically is because that you can transfer this woman that is from a council estate ghetto type of person with no money, no lawyers, no nothing, and was able to convict an innocent man of rape. And then you can draw comparisons or take it to this instance with Kavanagh of a woman that is accusing a man of rape that can quite easily, or attempted rape, sorry, of doing this, and could actually completely destroy his life, completely, possibly, maybe, don't know, send him to prison depending, even though I know the statute of limitations is already up on this already, but whatever, and could do so much damage to this person, but yet, because there's no evidence.
The statute is up. I actually heard something that even Maryland, I believe, where this was said to have occurred, the civil statute of limitations, this is one of the few things, because I remember somebody brought up that she could have actually filed some form of charges.
It never goes out.
No, I wasn't even trying to draw that conclusion at all.
Sexual assault has
anyway, the point was not the statute of limitations. The point wasn't that. The point was that this woman can quite easily be lying, as it has been proven that women that with really good stories that can even get people convicted of rape can do this. But yet she still lied. So how do we prove that this woman is lying when she has not even given any evidence? And how can we convict a man that has no evidence barring her testimony that he was even in the vicinity or in the room?
Oh, I wasn't making anything about just whether or not this happened. I was just entertaining the idea, if this did happen and he was to actually get up there and saying, I was young, I was dumb, I drank, and he admitted to it, and you brought up that the Democrats would attack him. What I'm saying is we're basically disincentivizing the truth, man, in case. I'm not saying that it was specifically Mr. Kavanagh that may have actually done this. I'm just saying to live in a world where if you made a mistake and you screw up, we are disincentivizing folks.
I understand your point.
So when folks do that, they're just going to lie. So although you're going to have folks telling the truth and folks that are lying, and it's all blending together, it's very murky. And that was the point I was making. I wasn't trying to extrapolate.
I already understood your point from before, but I now re-understand your point. My point is to you that it doesn't matter if somebody is, say, for instance, doing, let's take rape completely off of the table, for instance. If somebody was to say that you look like a monkey, for instance, as in from Planet of the Apes, you can lose a TV show. You can lose your livelihood, your work, even if you apologized and you didn't even know that she was black. You still lost all of your livelihood, all of your work, all of your fame, all of your good character from one accusation. Now put that to rape.
Oh, I do think Roseanne may actually come back, because if anything, I believe it could be used, as President Obama would say, a teachable moment. No, it hasn't happened, but they are talking about bringing back the show, and somebody else may actually buy them out to go that route. It's just the sheer fact we're at this level. And no, it is. Is it unfair for a false accusation to be made? Yes, that is completely unfair. What are the consequences? Do consequences exist? If it is found that somebody is blatantly lying and doing this maliciously, what are the penalties? Should there be penalties?
Yeah.
Would that disincentivize it?
Falsifying claims, yes, there should be memes. If you're going to go out of your way,
I went to jail. Yeah.
Hang on. If you're going to go out of your, yes, I do believe you should go to jail for falsifying claims. If you're going to go out of your way to say to somebody that, one, you're racist, or two, you're raping me, for instance, and you go out of your way to say that to the point where you're going to literally defame that person's character, completely destroy their financial stability, destroy their livelihoods and their possibility of ever getting work again, losing their whole social friends, losing their family in the process of the fake claims, then yeah, you've literally destroyed that person's life. You've not have done, but for effect, you have basically murdered that person's life because you have completely destroyed it.
So we should make lying illegal.
No, no. We should make forced claiming illegal. Lying is something that
false allegations. Yes, that is much different. It really is too. There's a different. For one thing, I don't want to be all religious or common sense to get pissed, but there's a really mistaken Bible verse that I think is take when you read it in Hebrew. Because thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor directly means don't lie about somebody in court where you can take their money or their freedom away from them.
Does bear false witness mean lying as well? Because if you're telling a story and the story isn't true, are you not
again, I didn't want to get on the philosophical or religious part. I'm just saying that in this,
I don't mind. I will do. If you're telling a lie to do with the story, how is that destroying somebody's life?
Right.
If you're
like the fish was this big.
Yeah. If you're actually saying, I don't know, I scored 5 goals at the weekend, but you only scored 1, or you didn't even score 1, that's not affecting anybody. If you say
somebody tells you a story about jumping into
memes, hang on a second. If somebody then says, "Oh, while I was playing football, I was raped by the referee," kind of affects the referee.
Wow, that's a jump too.
No, I do agree. But as far as embellishing and telling a story, let's take for instance, oh, dude, I jumped off into this gorge over here. It was a great night. That didn't actually happen. That other person that jumps into that gorge, and you know what? I had a friend. He happened to jump into one of our local gorges. It was also a very dangerous gorge because they also dumped cars in there at one point, and he hit one, completely shattered his leg. It changed his life. I'm not saying that particularly happened, but I'm saying that is something one could happen if one was told a story. Oh, yeah, it's wicked safe, man, but you never actually jumped, so you didn't know that there were cars there.
Well, here's the thing.
That person should be done for attempted murder then, because that person obviously knew it wasn't safe and then told the other person it was.
Oh, maybe
hang on. Wait, boys, 1 second. Let me just interject a little thing here.
Sure.
Done for murder, depending. And here's what I mean. If it's a story, all right, if I'm telling you a story about jumping off into a gorge and you go jump off in a gorge a week later, nobody goes to jail for that. But if I'm at that gorge telling you, jump off, man, you'll be all right, jump off. Well, I think at that point I'd have responsibility. And what I mean to demonstrate is closeness to the fact. Like there was just the girl that talked her boyfriend into committing suicide. Yes, she was guilty. That she was so close to the fact.
That was over here, I believe.
There's no getting out of that. But if one day, a week before he killed himself, he was saying, you know what, I just want to end it. And she was like, you know what, Johnny, I'm so sick of hearing you say that. Why don't you just go fucking kill yourself? And then a week later, he does it again. I think it's like the cliffs and the gorge scenario. Closeness to the thing matters. I would also say with this, listen, I'm going to be blunt, boys. Even if this happened, exactly as she described it, I think he should still go on the Supreme Court. I would think that the life he led, maybe it happened, and that's why he's been such a fucking Boy Scout. Maybe that thing that happened to her, and it did, and it would have been terrible. made for a man that would have done horrible, horrible things that turned his life around and became a great man. So I don't know. There you go. That's the worst case scenario for me.
Maybe I completely agree that maybe he has, maybe he hasn't. I don't know. But the thing that I really dislike is this rhetoric that false claims don't hurt anybody. That falsifying rape claims or falsifying racial comments or falsifying that somebody did this or somebody did that doesn't hurt anybody. Because it does.
Of course it does. No, it destroys people's lives. We've seen it happen. Yes. I remember the Duke lacrosse case. Dude, those guys' lives were ruined. They were what? Like in college, like 18, 19 years old, and they were accused of such heinous things. I remember some of the news stories. It was horrible. They were there, and they were essentially completely exonerated. And it's like, that will always stick to those folks. That's why I'm saying lying does cause things, and especially if you're in a court. And dude, here's the thing: I'm not disagreeing with you on that point. If you are charging something with something that doesn't happen, that destroys lives.
You are disagreeing.
Oh no! I was no. It's just we had a bit of banter, and the conversation took a few jumps.
All right. Oh, crack on.
Boop, 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 boop.
Yeah, I just. Well, it's fun to think about these things. I'll tell you what, I needed to hear and to talk because, I mean, 2 days, well, I guess not 2 days. It was 24 hours at 9:45 this morning because I turned it on and they weren't quite going yet. And I've watched and paid attention to that the whole time it was going since.
Oh, fuck.
And man, you know, it's just, it's good to get, I just want this to be over. I wish they'd have voted on it today, even if he wouldn't have been passed on. It just needs to be over for everybody involved. And I tell you seen the Avenatti thing, boys? Man, they got another week. Who here doesn't think that's a setup? Does anybody not think the Avenatti thing is just complete bullshit? I'm
making a shit ton of cash. The amount of marketing he's getting, going on all these news shows representing Miss Daniels or Stevens.
No, forget about Daniels. What about this other one he's bringing forward? I can't remember her name. Svetnik. What about Miss Svetnik that says she was there when he stood in lines? He stood in a line, right, to go into a cum-drenched girl that's drugged up there, that they plied with alcohol and drugs to the point to where now they're pulling a train, and she witnessed this 10 times in all of his life. It never came up. I don't know what to say about that other than that. If you believe that, I want to make some business deals with you.
So Yale would need to have a thorough investigation into this, or whatever campus that took place on, because they would investigate that, because those are very serious allegations, correct?
Question though.
Why can't the police just investigate everything?
There's an even simpler question. There's even a simpler question. How can you investigate something that happened 36 years ago?
Right. Well, they have investigated it. We watched it being investigated because they kept saying FBI, and then even Kavanaugh pointed out, you all ask me what you want, ask me anything. This is your job. This is your job. That's what they do. That's what that committee is there for. But they want to have this more. They want to have more time. I wouldn't be shocked if something else, but it will undoubtedly be more unsubstantiated. They're not going to be able to substantiate anything or bring any evidence forth because I don't believe Brett Kavanaugh. Let me tell you a little secret. Another one of my professors, Dr. Rollins, he's a negotiator in Saginaw, Michigan, for the cops. He's their head psychologist and negotiator. You know, crack dealer barricades himself inside. He goes, gets on the thing. White dude, man. I could tell you a lot about it. But one thing that I found that shocked me when I first found this out, but I don't know, maybe it's not common knowledge. It wasn't to me till I found it out. The last thing that a prosecutor wants in court is an eyewitness. That is the last thing. They want evidence. Eyewitnesses, folks, hate to break anybody's heart. You can look into this in the legal world. This is just common knowledge. They want to see the trajectory of the bullet or the blood spatter or talk. They don't want you to tell them what happened. They want to reconstruct it so they can tell you what happened. That's evidence, and that's the difference. What we have here is everybody that I've read so far, and I'm trying to keep up with it, has said no prosecutor said never would I bring this. This is nothing. Can't do anything with it. I'm so sorry, man. I really am. I'm rambling. I just feel bad for everybody involved. I think that they found someone that is able to do what she did. She's a professor. She's skilled public speaking, and she did it. And I believe she feels justified. I'm sure she's gonna sleep good at night. Miss Kavanaugh, I don't know, man. His daughter, 10 years old, a young one, she's gonna grow up and it's like, oh, your dad forever. Even if he's on the Supreme Court, she's gonna be at some ritzy girl's school. And I'm gonna be honest with you folks, going to private school most of my life, and this is over her entire life. I'm gonna tell you one thing: when you go to, it can be a grueling environment when you can't get out of it. And there's not even a fucking clique to blend in. There is only one clique. And you fit in or you're horribly ostracized. Anyway, there you go. I'm done bleeding.
Well, that sounds like my entire childhood.
Thank you for listening to all that too, folks, because this is, I mean, when I hear about, oh, the 11 white old male Republicans, and oh, he was a virgin until he was in college. That's just, a lot of the kids I went to school with at a private Seventh-day Adventist school, they strove to keep their virginity intact, the boys and the girls, and the boys were very proud of their chasteness. And that may seem strange to some people, but it did not seem strange to us when I was 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 years old from 1984 onward. It wasn't. For me, I was a little different, but I didn't lose my virginity until I was well off.
Go ahead, Jay Willie.
Sorry.
Oh, I think that's a good thing to cherish because, like, thinking of it, honestly, being a virgin is in many cases beneficial. Like, it's more safe, if you know what I mean.
No, I do understand what you mean, but I honestly do think that asking somebody if they were a virgin has absolutely no context into a rape case. The reason why I say it has no context into a rape case is saying that if you ask somebody if you were a virgin, for a start, you can fucking lie. It has no context or bearing into a rape case or any case whatsoever. All it is there for is to demean the person you are asking the question to.
Yes.
But if you, how can a rapist still be a virgin?
That's not the point I was making.
Well, it goes back to lying.
No, I wasn't making that as a point. The point was, why would you ask somebody if they were a virgin? Because one, you can lie if you were a virgin. And second of all, that doesn't prove that you raped someone. Because to be a virgin, you have to have sex. Oh, not to be a virgin, sorry. You have to have sex. Rape isn't sex. Rape is forced penetration, legally, by definition.
Wait, so
fucking retarded. Sorry.
My head just spun around real quick. Let me make sure I understand what you're saying. So you're saying that someone could, in their own mind, believe they were being honest when they said they were a virgin, yet they raped somebody because rape is not sex.
They could have also been at a level of intoxication to not remember.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
Yeah, I thought I misunderstood you.
Okay, I think to clear this all up, just based upon Mr. Ogre's previous discussion about this Kavanagh situation, Mr. Ogre, here's what I have to say to you.
Can I clarify?
So what you're saying is...
Can I clarify my point first, please, Memes? Otherwise, it will be forever. So I would like to clarify my point. My actual point was that in a rape case, it does not matter if you classify yourself as a virgin or if somebody else classifies yourself as a virgin. It does not matter. The classification is not the same as saying I raped somebody. That's all I meant by it, is the fact that saying I'm a virgin does not mean I raped or did not rape somebody. It has no bearing whatsoever. It is a word. It is a word that we give meaning to. It has no bearing in a rape case.
Well, it constitutes a validity of 0 in those particular allegations, though.
It depends.
It would depend on if they're telling the truth. Like you said, somebody could lie.
Exactly my point.
This stuff's above my pay grade, man.
No, you're the Master Roshi character over here. We're just carrying around some heavy shells right now.
Doing this for publicity. According to themselves, Dr. Ford wanted to remain anonymous. This whole thing should have just been either brought out when the FBI was still doing it. I mean, the whole thing just stinks, boys. I don't know what else to say. To me, all politicians smell pretty bad. But when I look at the actions of this one particular party in our country for the last, oh my goodness, man, hardcore for the last 25 years, it's getting, it's time to just be civil again, Democrats. Quit doing this thing. Why don't you act like I put up, some people hate each other so much, and I put up JFK and somebody I won't name right now. I call him a great man. Somebody I ain't going to name right now. Just pops up and like, farmer, a great man. And I don't know if you're thinking about what he had. He was like a legendary coxman, JFK. Like he got laid, man. Apparently Marilyn Monroe or whatnot. So I don't know. But to say he wasn't a great man, to me, that's like saying that there's evidence for this Blasey Ford claim. It's crazy. You can't look at JFK, not because he was shot either. You just can't look at the man and say, oh, he wasn't great. Say the same thing about
you're forever
very,
young.
very quickly. I would say the same thing about Martin Luther King. Even because apparently he had some chicks on the side, and you can look and he yelled at his wife and maybe even hit her. Apparently, I heard you can simultaneously have done that and still be Martin Luther King. He was a great man. You cannot look at that man and say he wasn't great. And if you try, it's just as disingenuous as what's going on right now.
I agree.
Yeah, biology's a bitch.
I like you memes, even though you're a socialist democratic of America, just complete go Venezuela, wait for a year for bread, and you're already dead.
Hey, here's the thing about the people. Here's the thing about the people of Venezuela. Dude, I grew up in a very wealthy area. We did very well. Dude, the Commonwealth of Massachusetts.
I thought you were going to give me what for. Tell me something. And
No. Here's the thing.
Oh, okay.
Even growing up, I still always remember Joe from Citgo and the people of Venezuela giving out free heating oil in the area. I'm looking around and I'm like, why are these folks helping us out? They're helping out folks there. So when I see this shit going on, it's like, you know what? That was an act of goodwill. I believe, even if I disagree with the government, that was something when times were very good there, they were helping out folks in need. And I believe in some level of reciprocation. So hopefully something will happen, or I just don't believe we can forget the people of Venezuela if they're having to eat their pet rabbits and zoo animals.
Rabbits are pound for pound. I think guinea pigs and rabbits produce the most pound for pound. They're the best things that you have for foodstuffs. So they're good off that they're eating their pet rabbits. Now, but I think common sense guy, you've been very, very liberal with your giving me time today. I really appreciate it. I do got to get going though, boys. Mrs. Ogre is giving me signs and symptoms, and it will make room for other voices. She made something that's asparagus, cream of asparagus soup. She makes it vegan with nuts. I don't know, but what we do is we usually don't tell people that come over that it's vegan, so that they just eat it. Never. And we've had some hardcore folks that if they knew it wasn't cream, they would say they hated it no matter what. But so far, never. We don't go and tell them afterward either because we don't want to ruin it another time. I hope this doesn't ruin it. And if you eat asparagus soup over here, fuck you. You liked it, just eat it. It's fucking good. You know it. All right, look, boys.
I would have told them.
I do wish. I don't know how much longer you're going to go, comments, but I wish I could stay. But
I'm
I
not
got
going to go much longer. I just wanted to do a quick final words.
Okay, I can hang out. I can blow her off for at least another 20 minutes.
Yeah. Jay Willie, I know that you're new, but we normally do last words. So we normally pick a topic of the night or any topic that you want to do, even if it's shilling for your own YouTube channel, if you have one or not, I don't know, or a group or something that you do. So if Memes of Destruction goes first, so you can see kind of how we do it in the structure that it is, and then you can go after Memes of Destruction, if that's okay with you, Memes.
Sure, not a problem, guys. So, and again, hey, thank you so much, CSG, for having me on. I always enjoy a little bit of banter and stuff, and we do still need to have an anime stream at some point in the future. Those are just some of the most amazing. I just look at it, I'm just like, oh, somebody that likes something I like so much as well, too. And even if we'll have just very stern disagreements at times, no, that's why I like coming by here, because I like hanging out with good folks, and it's just, we can agree to disagree on things, and we can move on, not worry about this or that. It's just, as far as this whole Kavanaugh thing goes, and I'll make this as my last point. One of the big things that I just really, really would like to see at some point in our society is just how you Lone Wolf?
Hello.
We're just getting a wee bit of feedback, mate. But no, the only thing I just have to say about this Kavanaugh thing is, if something did happen, if this did actually happen, and like we were kind of bringing up a bit earlier, it's just, if somebody does something, if you admit to it, you get buried, you get destroyed. It's like you're done. You end up withdrawing. And I just don't think that's the meta I'd like to be playing in. And I don't think a lot of folks would like to be playing in the current iteration of the game of life that we have right now. The reason I say that is just because what does it incentivize? It incentivizes lying. It incentivizes misleading folks, getting things investigated for months and years on end, having folks just be destroyed. They either make it or they're just completely broken. And I just think we need to, like Mr. Ogre was touching upon as well, just a little bit more civility again. So if something does happen, you'd be like, yes, I did. Because I had a conversation this morning, and I know I said that was my last point, but to tie it back around, a conversation where we just brought up, how are things going? Oh, just another day in paradise, living the dream and stuff. We all kind of we kind of like laughing a little bit both back and forth. And you're saying, depending on the news you put on, you think the world is ending. And depending on what channel you put it on, it's ending in different ways. And we actually got into a little politics, and the group we had there, what we all just kind of realized was said is just, most folks, they believe, are more just kind of common road. It's just like, maybe they're not the biggest things that we see, but it's just the squeaky wheel always gets the grease. No matter what end you go with, if you go towards that side, you're going to end up getting more attention, no matter what it is, on Twitter, this, that, or the other thing. And it just comes down to, why is this happening? It seems like just folks don't trust each other anymore. So I think if we could get to a state where we could have some penance for people, and we could actually be okay with dealing with the truth, whatever, even if it's an ugly truth. And you know what? If it's an ugly truth, you know what? Maybe you should admit to it, and we can all move on.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, that's well said, mate. Well said. I know that we've just got somebody that's turned up as well. What I'm going to do is, as we were just about to end, Ogre, if you wanted to do your final word, and then I'll let Wolf, as he's come on, I will let him speak about the situation.
Absolutely.
But I'll let Ogre go first, and then we'll carry on from there.
It's been a grueling harvest time. It's good to be able to have a little bit of time this Friday. I should be able to be around Fridays in the future, Common Sense, and I'll be more than honored and happy to get back into swinging things with you. Sure has been good for my soul, good for my intellect. Exercise is good. Remember the second law of thermodynamics, entropy. And if something, is left alone, it goes to hell and gone. So anyway, just briefly, thank you, panel. Good to meet you there, Jay Willie. First time I believe we've ever met. Seems like you're a bright young man. It's good to have bright young men in the world. Gives me hope. Good to be with the rest of you. I don't want to pump everybody's ego, but briefly, I think the thing that it keeps going on in my mind is, it's one of the most difficult for me to apply personally. Do unto others what you would like to have done to yourself. And of course, we do the golden rule, right? And we all know this, but then we get wrapped up in Democrat, and I find myself looking at Mrs. Ford and when because listen, folks, the hardest thing in the world is to know yourself. The hardest thing. You can know everything about everybody else, but you overestimate yourself all the time. Admit it, you do. I do too. Don't worry. We're in good company. You think you can endure this and that, and you can march for miles, and you think all these things about yourself, but in reality, we're basically all afraid and know that we're only 3 or 4 days away from hunger, and if the electricity goes off, we don't like the dark. Listen.
I live with my parents. I don't fear that.
Sorry, Jay. Really, normally we don't interrupt on the final word.
Oh, that's fine, and I'm glad he didn't.
It's fine. You didn't know. Carry on, Ogre.
And in a way, it lets me know that I do need to wrap it up. This idea of shaming is getting overboard. We hear about don't slut shame, don't this, don't that. This is the end I was getting to in a roundabout way. Don't this, don't that. Don't, they can wear what they want. Don't even look at them. Don't whistle, nothing like this. Don't shame. But then I see flake look at me, man, and yelling and screaming, shaming this guy right before an extremely important vote. We shouldn't have heckling involved in this process. So look, be good to your friends and family. Before you know it, they'll be gone.
Thank you very much, Ogre. For anybody else that still wants to stay on to the stream, please do, because we're... Yeah, no, I'm not ending. I'm not ending. I'm just saying, for anybody else that wants to stay on the stream, please do. So at this moment in time, well, you can do if you want memes. I see you there. But Wolf, as you're the new person that's just come in, I presume that you have something that you would want to say about the context of the live stream. So if you want to carry on the conversation, please do so.
Yeah, I'll try and make it brief so that No,
it's fine. It's fine. Ogre had to go, so I don't mind staying on for another half hour anyway.
Yeah, it's basically it's sort of disturbing because there's a serious topic, rape and sexual misconduct and people going through a traumatic experience. But what's sad about the process is it becomes this big kind of national circus where it gets mixed up with partisan politics, and then I sort of see the Democrat and their history of how much they let slide when we saw the way that Bill Clinton kind of profaned the walls of the White House himself, and how he's given a lot of pass by the sort of feminist establishment at the time. And when it's being driven by these partisan reasons, it's almost a distortion of the actual issue at hand of people who've gone through sexual assault and survived those kind of things.
Sure.
It almost makes a mockery of that kind of thing.
Yep.
Yes, that's my main thought.
No, I think all of us have, even including the leftist that is memes apparently, has all touched on that and has all basically said exactly the same thing as you. We all think that it's kind of making a fast out of actual people that have been raped. I'm not saying that Ford hasn't been raped. I'm not saying that for people that think I am, but the whole issue of bringing this publicly and the whole issue of making this about politics, about Democrats and the Republican divide, or believe or don't believe, that type of divide, is absolutely redundant for somebody that has supposed to have been raped. It's supposed to be about justice, not about politics. And this has been made about politics, not justice. If anybody else wants to add or carry on, please do.
Oh, well said.
Okay. Should I say my final words?
Sure.
Yeah, my final word is that I am actually really, really looking forward to have a Republican Supreme Judge, and I'm not sure if he's like pro-life or something. Like I heard that he wanted to decrease the length of time which you are allowed to do an abortion. I'm not sure, but if I remember correctly. I really, really hope that he was the Supreme Judge, because a pro-life Republican as a Supreme Judge is something that I really, really want to see. That would be such a great thing. And the other final point is that, if the thing I said about South Africa before was incorrect, then I would like to know what was incorrect. But we can take it now or after life. It doesn't matter when. But I really want to know, because I really thought that I was saying everything that was entirely accurate.
Sure.
I think that was it.
Yeah, no problem. Does anybody else want to carry on the conversation, or if they want a final word, then they can do. I don't mind ending the stream early, but as for obviously Wolf that's turned up, yeah, carry on.
But now it's not really final words anymore. Now it's keep talking, right?
Yeah.
No, we're at a postscript right now. Mr. Ogre had a time constraint.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. The thing I want to say that I was asking if I was like having a seizure. But, well, at one time I was like going to puke because something was stuck in my throat, so I was about to puke. And the other time I was laughing my ass off when the common sense guy was like, what he said about the logical left that believe in science. That
that's what I thought it was from. No, I saw you saying that, and I'm like, is he okay? I'm like, it's going on, but I didn't hear anything, so I had concern. I was like, oh my god, he maybe it's the neurological thing.
can't make sound or so. I don't know, but I saw it going on. But you had a smile on your face. But smiles can be deceiving, so that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, it's a great.
All I know is for this conversation, I need more nicotine. I'm a terrible person. I'm bad at tempting Mr. Ogre. I feel bad about it.
Yeah.
I'm a bad influence, man. It's my, have I fallen?
Like it's a thing that when I laugh, I usually doesn't make sound. I used to like make faces when I laugh. It rarely comes out sound when I laugh.
I think they have YouTube videos about different laughs.
Oh yeah, that's the thing. My laugh is silent. I have a silent laugh, but it's very visible in other ways.
Is it because you're trying not to draw attention? You're just like
no,
it's just kind of tearing you.
Doesn't sound.
Oh really?
Oh. But I can't like. Sometimes I do, and that's manageable. But most of the time, I just can't make sound when I'm laughing.
It's awful when you check your tweets while you're on a stream. It's because if you go into the inbox and someone sent a meme or something like that, and there was one meme that had me laughing for about 10 minutes. It was about this same topic that was sent by someone in the inbox, and it was
they looped it right. It was only like 5-6 seconds, right? Wait, were you actually laughing for 10 minutes?
Not for 10 minutes.
Oh, I was gonna say. I mean, maybe it was pretty funny. My teacher shined a projector in my face once because I made fun of his dig. He was showing us a picture. He's like, he had this dude he used to fly around with and like go on like scientific things. It was my earth science teacher, and he used to go up with this guy named Ram and stuff. And he's like, here's me and Ram, and we're on a tephnological dig. And it's a picture of a hole with 2 little spade shovels of it. And after he says a tephnological dig, I'm like, AKA digging a hole. The entire class burst out laughing for a minute straight, and even he was laughing. And to try to get the class and he just kind of like takes the projector, he shines it in my face, and I'm like, ah! And we played it off. It was a good dynamic. I like science.
That's fair enough. I don't want to turn this into a South African stream.
No, fine, but I would like
you can have it.
I just wanted to quickly point out this, which is on fact sheets. I've sent the link, obviously, in the side chat, and I've also put it into the actual chat itself, so everybody can read this. The last analysis of farm attack victims by race was conducted in the early 2000 and 2001 because South Africa doesn't actually report any of the crimes anymore. These are only statistics that have been brought down by individuals and private workers. But last time it was reported on, it was 61% that were white, 33% that were black, and 4% that were Asian, and 7% were listed as other.
But this is exactly what I said. I said it's farm attacks are more likely to be white victims than black victims.
Yeah.
So I didn't say anything that was false. I said this that I'm reading right now.
Okay, that's fine.
Well, no. Well, it's landowners, and if you were to look at the demographic of, I believe, South Africa, you'll probably find it a much higher percentage per populace that the majority of the white folks would probably own more land. So if they proportionally own more land and there are more attacks against the crime, it would just kind of play. I'm just
saying, read. Farm attacks and murders recorded by the Trans-World Agriculture Union.
They own more land than they are proportionally demographic. Like they are 8%, but own more than 8%, but they own the minority of land.
Mm-hmm.
Like I just want to throw that.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I just wanted to put the link out there for the actual statistics and everything else of that, and just use that as that. That's all.
It looks like they've gone down a bit.
Trying to say, like what I said doesn't contradict this point. Like I said exactly that it was being presented.
That's fine. I must have just misheard you. It doesn't matter.
Okay, that's good because then
at least that way that both facts have been. Well, at least that way both of our points have been put there, and the facts are there for everybody to see. But that's I just must have misheard you. It's not a problem. Should we get back to Kavanagh? If everybody wants to get back to Kavanagh, or does anybody want to talk about anything else, or what does everybody want to do? Because we've only got 2 people watching, so I don't think that many people are really interested. I think they wanted to move on. I normally only stream for 2 hours, but we've been going for 2 hours and a half. So it's up to everybody else. What does everybody else want to do?
I mean, I think we played out a lot of the, basically all the main primary points of the Kavanaugh thing. I think most everyone here wanted to, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Only having some words on that.
I had my final little thoughts. I was just thinking, okay, if Kavanagh loses it, give it to Judge Judy.
I love her. I think she'd be fucking great as a Supreme Justice as well, to be fair. I absolutely think she would be.
Donald Trump is president of the United States.
Yeah, yeah. And she's not a feminist, so I think that'd be absolutely amazing. She's not a feminist. She's even stated herself many times.
She would. Oh, common sense, guys. If we go down this road, we're going to see The Rock 2020, but then we could see Rattlesnake 2024.
Ooh. As long as I'm hidden in leaves, I'll be fine.
Because you read Australian feminist literature and it's got a lot of swear words in it. Very, very close.
Is it cool?
It's really weird because I decided to read it. It's this book called Boys Will Be Boys, and like some of it, I was thinking, yeah, maybe some of the points are okay. I kind of understand where you're coming from. It's sort of the idea of gender reveal parties or whatever, like the kind of how weird it is that you'd be having a party to announce, whether your child has a dick or a vagina.
Yeah, I think that's weird too. Like,
yeah, we used to do cigars and stuff back in the day. I thought,
yeah,
you had to get the pink and blue.
Wait,
hold on, was that a scam to just get us to buy more cigars?
Yes.
Yeah, now they got
that's a conspiracy.
Blue and it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of fucked up.
I absolutely agree with that.
I'm kind of enjoying it because she is pretty brazen and she swears a lot during the book. But I find that very amusing. But then I think
it's intriguing.
I'm not really a feminist. But then I was thinking, yeah, I mean, I actually understand some of the points like that come across. It's fair enough.
Would that be? Would you say perhaps if you were to speak to somebody that you may normally disagree with, if you were to bring up some of those points, maybe use some of that citation, maybe you could at least reframe the argument and, I don't know, a point that both would make sense to both of you? I don't know. What would happen?
Yeah, it's sort of, I don't classify myself as an MRA or a feminist. I'd probably say I'm a humanist with probably because my channel more focuses on men's type of issues. But
yeah,
sometimes I get along okay with the feminists. I mean, they don't mind the ideology that I practice, and sometimes there's a few things in gender theory that that are okay to use, but I don't want to use the actual words themselves because people are just going to switch off if I actually use the same words as what they do. But
yeah,
not necessarily. I like to watch ContraPoints, and so.
Oh my god,
she's funny.
Hey, dude, she's pretty funny.
She is funny, but her fact checking is horrible.
Yeah, well, her sources might be a little different than your sources. That's all I'm saying.
But she does make some good points, and I like that.
I'll give you that. Yeah, she does. She definitely does.
I'm sorry, but the thing she said about Jordan Peterson, I agreed with most of that. I mean, like, that was fucking hilarious. Sorry, but I like that.
Well, that's the thing. As long as you can have fun with it, as long as you have fun, folks are willing to. They're more apt to listen. You have different, on the YouTubes, you got cross audiences. What do they want? They want this or that. Maybe they want this. Maybe they don't necessarily need 4 hours of Jordan Peterson. Maybe a 10-minute, 52-second clip is enough for them to digest that particular point. But it's like context, I believe, should matter. In the UK, apparently it doesn't at the moment. But hey, maybe we can work towards a better future.
Hey,
my favorite Jordan Peterson. I think Jordan Peterson, my favorite one was where he had Camille Paglia on, because I don't think he realized what he was in for, because all you have to do is start the interview saying welcome, and then she'll just start talking at 1,000 miles an hour, and then nobody else will ever get in a word edgewise.
Oh, that's never happened before.
Yeah.
Anywhere.
I have to say, I do absolutely love it when he come on to the Channel 4 News and did that interview, and to the point of the actual interviewee or interviewer, the interviewer, sorry, basically went to him, yeah, you've got me. I
Yeah,
thought.
well, to be fair, he said that the sheer fact he called it out. Here's the thing: I listened to that interview like immediately after it came out. It's like recommended. I listened to it. I'm like, you know what? That was a good interview. She challenged him. If you're going to have a quote unquote controversial figure, in order to maintain it, you need to be able to maintain your feet when they're held to the fire. And she kept on rephrasing him and the lobster part and everything. I think at that point I actually did a actual citation of the point. I'm like, well done, Professor or Peterson, or like, well done, Kathy. It's like, see, he does actually have a point. And I'm like, I thought it was a well played interview. I made a comment and then the internet blew up about it.
I think the actual interview itself was a good interview. I don't think it was done on fair basis from Newman's point of view. I don't think
that
it
was the
done on
thing.
a fair basis, but
she turned on the switch. She turned on the switch, and it was very pleasant up to that point. That's where I think Professor Peterson was just like, "Oh, this is the game you're playing. I'll play your game."
But it was fun to see him play along because when he won, she was willing to accept that he got her, and that's something I have to respect her for that. Honestly,
yeah, that's good.
That was fair.
I must respect that.
Yeah. I have to say there was
the aftermath and the reaction to it. I may have some questions about. And to be fair, if you're a newscaster on Channel 4, maybe your average interview, you get the basic regular folks that tune in. But if all of a sudden you get a whole bunch of other folks in, and you start getting all these messages and retweets of Jordan Peterson destroys Kathy with the laser beams and stuff like that, you might be, oh God,
well, you know,
what's going on here? So it's like the reaction and how it was taken.
You know,
it was. Why is that?
The reasons why people were like that was because of how Kathy Newman normally expresses her opinions and is normally never ever challenged on their opinions and her opinions rather. And generally, it's a case of she will push a narrative without anybody challenging her on it because most people agree with her.
Yeah, dude, I listened to one of her other interviews and I'm listening to it and I'm like, I think it was an MP or something. It was about like the re-election campaign. And she's like, yes, so you support rapists. And like, she was on him. And like, to be fair, it's like, if one were to be sitting down with Kathy Newman, it's like, all right, who is Kathy Newman? Maybe let's take a look or something. That's a certain level of research. And as long as she's consistent, that's my thing. As long as in the interview style, she's being consistently challenging. If that's her job, she does an excellent job of it. And Professor Peterson just pointed out at that point, it's like, all right, so why should you be able to offend me? This has been very uncomfortably pointed out. And when you were equating it out, she's like, no, you do got me and everything. And she admitted to that, which is being fair. It's just how a lot of folks perceive that. The dynamic was just, I remember Professor Gadsad, he starts off, he's like, and then, so what you're saying is we're lobsters, and like 12 lobster jokes in a row. And I'm like, I like that interview.
No, I definitely like the interview. It's just a case with I watch Kathy Newman because she's sort of some of the source material that I would use for particular sets of ideas and ideology. So I have to watch her, otherwise I misunderstand what certain people and issues are being talked about. I can't be objective in my opinion if I don't watch somebody like her. The thing is that when watching somebody like Kathy Newman, especially quite a lot, you realize that she never argues in good faith. As you quite rightly said, she's always on the front foot, but she never concedes her point. She generally, apart from the Peterson movement interview, she will just go, oh, so moving on, or the next question.
We call it dead earing, basically, in like the sales industry. It's basically, you hear that, okay, and then ba-ba-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Yeah. That's the reason why I think Kathy Newman argues in bad faith. The interview style that she has, fine. Everybody has different interview styles. If you want to be forceful about it, be forceful about it. But the interview style herself and itself is just not going to help anybody apart from her own ideological stance. Because all it is an attack. It's not a debate,
Professor
it's not
Peterson
attack.
is the thing. He held up to it. He was not dealt in. If anything, the fire from Miss Newman's interview, which was supposed to be an interview, as far as I know.
Yes.
It basically helped forge Professor Peterson, and it helped temper him in, because what did he really get attacked for? Ha, gotcha. Oh, this or that. And I noticed as soon as he said, I gotcha, it's like, you had her.
Yeah.
Did you need to point it out?
Yes.
Because everybody, well, here's the thing. At that point, some folks that may have normally been like, well, I don't like what this guy is saying because I've talked to a lot of folks and they've said these things. At that point, they may have come to the opinion that, oh, maybe there's something here. But as soon as he said gotcha, it's like, oh, he's calling us out or something like that. So it was a certain level of snarkiness, some may say, that I felt that you may have been they may not have actively supported you, but I don't think they may have actively condemned you in a way.
I honestly think that he was filling dead air.
Because, no, in a way.
Because all that happened was he made his point and Catherine Newman was sitting there like...
No, but after he said gotcha, he's like, but you see what I'm saying. Had he not interjected at that point and just said, when she's kind of like, but you see what I'm saying, right? That's where I think, and he even did say that in an interview like after, he's like, I do have some like more of the leftish folks friends that I'm still friends with, and I asked them for criticism, and he's like, one of my friends, he's like, had you not done that, what do you think you could accomplish? Like, I rethought that. He's like, well, it's happened. It is what it is, and it's like, we are here now, so I'm going to continue on. So it's just depending on who he's meeting with and the level of perceived attack or actual attack, you adjust and everything, because every situation is different, and it's just, well, what are the rules? It's like, well, if I'm on Twitter or on Facebook, I like these things on here, but I like these things on here. But should I do this? Do I really support this whole thing? I don't know. I wasn't necessarily. Do I want to be associated with this? It's like, that's a lot of stuff, and we're human beings. We got a lot of shit to deal with anyway.
Of course, no, I completely agree with you. But on the aspect of saying gotcha, I think it was mostly a case of for Peterson filling dead air. But I also think it was a point, because at that juncture of time, it was a case of she was not physically attacking him, but was going after him and goading him quite well and trying to, should we say, piss him off without a better term.
Oh yeah.
To try and show that,
rile him up,
yeah, rile him up, do something like that. And I think that was a general response to being riled up. I think she led the interview to that point, and then, as some people would say, the dynamic changed. And Peterson was basically in control straight after that point. I think that junction of going, I got you, I think that shifted a point in Newman's brain and made her realize that she was losing the argument. So then she tried to reframe it and rephrase and slow down rather than generally attacking. And it was much more of an interesting interview afterwards.
I know. I like that, because at that point, she did kind of back off, and it was kind of more like sizing up rather than just attack. I do actually like that metaphor, and I may actually steal that. But when I look at that, it's like, yeah, it's kind of like a cat pawing at your face. It's like, you know, they can playfully do it. But every once in a while, maybe they catch your eye a little bit, and you're like, you're so fuzzy. But I think it was taken kind of like that. A lot of folks are like, okay, it was a paw to the face, but if anybody's been around cats long enough, you get a paw to the face, occasionally they get you. So it's one of those things where I think some folks took a bad paw to the face.
Sure.
And maybe that's because of inclinations and stuff like that, but we're human beings. We're complicated.
Sure. Let's invite other people to have a chat if anybody else wants to talk about Catherine Newman or move on to a different subject. Jay, will you please go ahead?
Well, it's more to go back to the Kavanagh things that...
No! Of course you can, mate.
I want to say something about that. It's okay.
Yeah, no, I was joking. Sorry, mate. Yeah, of course you can. It's a free stream. Do what you want.
The thing is that it was so fun. The Tommy Lawrence, she said, should women always be believed? And then I retweeted and said, I believe Tommy on this. It's going to be difficult for people to disagree with that.
Well, to be fair, I do think that women should be believed. Women should be believed
automatically.
No, I do think that women should be believed in general to begin with. That doesn't mean that you should generally accuse the bloke and then say that the bloke is a rapist. But you should believe the accusation that she may have been raped. That's
I believe that you should leave to both genders equally.
No, I agree. That's exactly why
that's
I.
true.
No, I agree. That's exactly why I made the statement of saying that the woman should be believed, but the bloke shouldn't be accused of being a rapist. He's innocent until proven guilty, but we should believe that the woman thinks that she's been raped and should investigate it accordingly.
Well, or we can just be open for more evidence, because when two people say opposite things, I honestly don't believe either one, and I don't disbelieve them either. I say that they might be right or might not be.
That's
so therefore, you
hearsay.
say, okay, that might be true.
Sure. Yeah. What about you, Wolf? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going back to the sort of like debating, because I'm sort of looking forward to watching all of the MythCon debates there, because hopefully it's an improvement upon last year, because last year it just seemed like more of a circus than a debate. And one of the biggest
don't watch the one with creationist Cat, Jacqueline Glenn, and Armored Skeptic.
No.
That
okay,
went,
I can't stand
really bad.
I listened to Dr. Winters and some of Mr. Logan's view of some of the happenings, and they said people were pretty cordial and stuff.
Yeah, definitely.
There were disagreements.
Yeah,
I know Sargon said he was an asshole, or he felt that way.
Yeah,
I can't stand Christy Winters. She is literally the most condescending person I've ever heard speaking.
She responded to my comment with a smiley face at the end of her explanation. I thanked her for her time.
That's actually quite amazing, to be honest. I like that. Like, I don't dislike. I think she's
an amazing listener.
Dude, even when her coach Red filmed.
Oh god, yeah. To be fair, I actually like Christy Winters, not because I believe everything that she says. I definitely don't. I'm ideologically opposed to her by a long fucking way. But I know that she herself generally believes in what she believes in because she believes that it's going to help society. I honestly do not think that she's one of those feminists that generally wants it to help women to be superior to men or that sort of ideology. Yeah. I generally feel that Christy Winters generally wants to help women to be equal. Yeah. I generally feel that she thinks that they're not.
I wonder if she purple pilled me, because I remember I got on my Sargon binge. Sorry to cut you off, guys, but I remember I got onto that, and then I came up to Sargon versus Christy Winters. I put it off watching it for a while, and I watched it. I was listening to it at work, and I'm like, I'm looking at the sources. I'm like, wow, she has a very wide breadth of sources, like 23 to 30 sources. Sargon had like 7 or 8, and most of them were Wikipedia. And I'm like, all right then. And I listened to it, and I'm like, did the moderator seem pretty fair? I'm like, all right. Yeah, that was not the most well-played debate. You're just kind of trying to play off the dick mode, but I'm like, you're having like a formalized debate.
Yeah, that was a bit of a purple. That was kind of my purple pill kind of. That turned me into a bit of a purple pill myself, because I sort of thought, okay, she pretty much chopped his balls off and fed them to test. It's like I kind of know, like I've been friends with her before, and I've sort of chatted to her off air. I think that she's at her best when she's in a very relaxed environment. So if she has a few drinks, if she gets a little bit drunk and she starts talking philosophy, that's when she starts. You start seeing that's where her intelligence is really comes out.
I have to say something about Christy Winters. Okay, listen to this. This is basically what I believe about Christy Winters, or something that I believe. What she thinks all the time. Sargon, bearing, Sargon, bearing, Sargon, bearing, Sargon, bearing, Sargon. Yeah, it's about that.
Yeah,
I think that was
actually a pretty good song.
Perfectly. Yeah, I think that was actually recited perfectly as well. For every Sargon and every bearing, I think that was perfect. Wolf, you were going to make a point beforehand. Please carry on.
What do you think?
I think that I don't know what it takes. It's probably maybe a bit of, if she had a couple of joints, and have a couple of beers, and then if you sit with her at a pub, she's the sort of person that you could have like an in-depth conversation, and you'd just be like, whoa, like this is like an absolutely amazing conversation. If you sort of, but that's the impression that I got from sort of talking to her kind of behind the scenes. But we kind of fell out a bit. Like we had, it was a long story, but Like we no longer talk. And it's probably the one that I dislike. I think Kevin, I'm starting to dislike him more and more. Just some of the things that he does, it sort of betrays the progressive ideas that he espouses. I mean, he embodies the descent of manosphere himself. I mean,
he does very much so. I would say,
oh my God, he's such. Can I
would say that with Christy Winters, you can see that she honestly believes that it's in general. With somebody like Logan, I don't think he generally sees it as a betterment. I think he sees it as a form of an attack or a form of a defensive mechanism, as in that I feel that they're attacking me, so I have to attack back. And I don't think he does it that well. I think they're ideologically similar, but Christy Winters goes about it in a way where she will use fact after fact or perceived fact to the point of where she would try to emphasize those points. Kevin Logan will just go, "You're a racist. You're a Nazi. You're a fascist."
It's a different level of analysis, because Kirsty Winters is basically, Dr. Winters is providing a very high resolution analysis, and Mr. Logan tends to provide a very low resolution analysis.
And also when it comes to Kevin Logan, he's not a supremacist feminist. I know that about him.
I don't know. I don't know. I think he's definitely a white knight male feminist.
Oh yeah,
he's very misogynist. I mean, he himself is actually quite misogynistic in a lot of ways.
Yeah,
I mean,
well, he's a dude.
Because I always think, okay, if you're applying progressive principles and you're saying, okay, you shouldn't misgender a trans person, you shouldn't be saying this about women, that applies to all women across every political spectrum. It's a universal. But then, you know, what did he say about Blair White? It was something to say, calling her like a what did he call her? Like a wank material for Republican men or whatever. And I'm thinking, if you said that about a left-wing woman, you'd be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah,
well, he would have said himself that he would have been in the manosphere, wouldn't he? He would have been in the descent of manosphere for literally saying that you would wank over a woman. By his own logic and definitions, that's what would happen. Sorry, Jay Willie, I cut you off. Please carry on.
Yeah, no, also Kevin, you know what he said about Aiding Paladins?
I do, I remember, but go ahead.
Didn't he used to call her a Holocaust denialist or something?
Yes, he did. Yes, he did.
That's not something.
And a Nazi sympathizer.
Well, those sound like ad hominem attacks. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's generally what Kevin Logan does when he's trying to debate somebody.
No one would ad hom over the internet.
Shut up, you dragon.
But he feels, oh, that's a gateway. Like, well, everyone is a gateway. What the fuck is that point? Oh my God. Yeah. I hate the point you used to gateway. Yes,
was he wrong?
I am a gateway.
Was he wrong? Was he wrong?
No, I don't think that's wrong, but I don't think that's a bad thing.
Because if all of a sudden you're following somebody, and I know Styx has said this, but I'm going to say, if you're watching, maybe not that, but maybe him and other folks on Warsky Live, you see Richard Spencer. Oh, it's the top rate. You go into that. Are there not some folks that may end up maybe identifying as National Socialists? I say this because I went to an event, and after watching, bless you, after seeing the event after, I'm just like, one of the guys there identified as a National Socialist. So I'm like,
I know a guy who...
I was at a rally, and a guy, even one of the protesters, he came up to me and one of the officials running it I was talking to, and he's like, oh, you got this many guys there and everything. They're not allowed to say anything, but it's like you're talking to folks, and they're like, guy comes up, he's like, hey, I'm here to protest the Nazis. So I just simply looked over. I'm like, well, I think Sargon and the Proud Boys are going to be over there. I think a lot of the folks from the town and the high school there are here to protest to the further group back. Ask the police along there. It's that way. So I'm like, all right, if that guy is going to think I'm a Nazi, I'm going to be the nicest Nazi in the world. I'm like, I don't think I'm one. I mean, that whole Jewish thing and everything, even if I'm the wrong side, I'm like, oh,
that doesn't matter.
My response to that is very strong. It's like the way that when people, because it's a really thing that I hate when people, exaggerate someone's position, saying, oh, that person's a Nazi, like when they're probably maybe standard conservative or libertarian or whatever. But you can turn the language back on themselves, the language they use. You can say that you're appropriating a tragedy that's gone across generations, of Jewish people. Also, so you're appropriating the lived experiences of other people for your own selfish ends.
But that's
And that
a
would
lot of
shut them up.
words.
But
Yeah,
what
but
he's saying is that
you've got to use the word
language you can use their own language to be able to defeat their own arguments, which is the whole prefaces of the left eating itself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm firmly on the left, but the thing is, I'm not going to, like, I don't really fall into the social, I'm not sure what to call it, whatever they call it, SJW, sort of the politically correct. I don't fall into line perfectly with that, even though I am left.
Like my mother is. She hates it, but she's also left.
Yeah. Well, there's not wrong with that. That's the thing. I would like to formally introduce Amanda Wolfchild as the only woman on this panel, and possibly the best person to talk about women's issues. No, I'm joking. How you doing, Amanda?
Everyone.
Hi, I like wolves.
So do I. But
so, go
on. I was gonna say I probably am one of the best people on this panel to talk about this, because not only am I a woman, I'm a survivor of childhood sexual assault and rape. So.
Oh my god, that's so horrible. Oh, sorry. Go on.
It's all right. I've dealt with that shit by now, but this chick pisses me off a lot. Like I don't buy her claims at all in the least little bit, because nothing she says or does in any way shows that she was a victim to me, having been there myself. And I get even more pissed off because I get emails every day from left organizations begging me for money based on this. They're pimping out the pain of me and other survivors for cash and to get what they want.
Isn't that kind of awful, though?
It's fucking offensive.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
And none of them give a shit about survivors. Not Dr. Ford, none of them. Because if they did, they would be arguing that they should remove the statute of limitations on childhood sexual assault. Nobody is arguing that. Nobody's even asking for it.
Nope. I would just like to quickly ask you, nothing about what obviously happened, because that's just stupid, but from your own lived experience, obviously, and your own experiences itself, would you say that from her testimony, especially when she's explaining the actual rape itself, when she's reading from, or seems to be reading from a script, do you think that that's a normal traumatic behavior to have to read what's been written, or do you think that people would generally be able to explain it without looking?
Now, I can get the needing to write it down, needing to, have a non-emotional point to go back to when you get too worked up. But she read the whole thing. She didn't say any of it from memory. She didn't sink down into a memory at any point. She wasn't like lost in it. I've told my story many times. And when you tell it, it doesn't matter how many times. It doesn't matter how used to it you get. You're back in that place every time. And even when you get to a point where you can be non-emotional about it and just talk about it, you have this kind of flat affect. You distance yourself from it entirely. She didn't do that. She had this kind of whiny cry voice the whole time, like she was about to cry, and there was never a single tear.
Sure. Memes, I think that you were trying to edge your way into there, so go ahead, sir.
It's one of those things, and we were talking a little bit earlier. It's just I've heard far too many stories, and I would really like to admit about certain things happening, especially when some gals like yourself were very young. And it's just with this whole thing, I believe in this particular circumstance, Dr. Ford, she also was under oath. So, I mean, she could potentially have committed perjury if she were to say something that's why she was asked, if you don't know, just estimate and let us know that, because it's a formal hearing. So I do not believe it's uncommon, if appearing at a congressional hearing where you're under potential penalty of perjury, to read a statement there. I mean, the only question I really had for you is, as another person, somebody that's had to endure this in life, do you think Dr. Ford did have something happen to her, whether or not, or whoever it was? I'm just curious.
I don't believe her at all. I know there's a lot of people that do. They say, well, maybe it was somebody, maybe she's, remembering it wrong. But just from the way that she tells the story and the way, I don't believe it in the least. I think like she said, I don't think she ever intended for that letter to have to go public. I think she wrote it in a bit of an attention bid, probably.
Mm.
And I think that she was trying to just stop Kavanaugh from getting confirmed. And I think she thought that it would work without her having to put her actual name out there and having to be public. And I think that when that wasn't an option, she just went through with it.
Is that one of those things because of a previous tweet or a Facebook post I think somebody cited? I'm just curious how you draw your what brought you to that?
From her saying that she never there's literally a clip of her saying that she never said that it was okay for them to bring her letter forward.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they did that. They drug her forward. Yeah. So and from just her, there's pictures of her with a duping delight smile on her face from that hearing. Like the micro expressions, the body language, her voice, everything about it screams to me that she's lying.
But why wouldn't she just recant if she was just going to go through with all this?
Because by that point, they'd already drug her. They'd already said, oh, hey, we have this letter, and it had already been found. If she recants at that point, then she looks even worse.
Yeah.
Or if would she just not have testified then, or just been like, well, no, I just want this to all go away. I don't want to pursue this.
She tried to not testify. She did
did, yeah,
try.
twice.
The public was very insistent
I can't
on the
fly,
fact
but I went on holiday 2 weeks ago. Sorry, Amanda, carry on.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say that the public was very adamant about if she didn't testify, nobody was going to believe her. She got backed into this corner. She had no choice.
Well, she didn't have to testify. I know there were a lot of folks that didn't think it was going to happen. It's just, I'm just trying to think, like, if this did happen, why would you put yourself through that? I mean, could it potentially be a very political thing? It's possible. Anything is possible. We don't know. The thing that gets me is that second door. I'm still not 100% sure of the reason, but if there was documentation back in 2008 or 2012 that was a reason, that was something that really strained on their marriage, to bring that up, to cite this, and if the letter was written before he was the nominee, because if it was right after he was the nominee, but it was prior to him becoming the nominee, to have that and to ask to remain, because we have seen a number of folks that they'll go onto social media. This seems to be, if this was to happen, more of the proper process to go through. At least I don't know.
What I see from it is the process that an attention-seeking liar would go through. Like, she got to the point in her marriage. I don't know what the actual issue was or anything. I don't know what happened, but it got to a point where she had to tell her husband something, and this is what she told him. And then they end up having to do this in marriage counseling and everything. Like, it's the kind of thing that a manipulative personality would do. It's the kind of thing somebody would say. I have very little evidence. I don't even have to tell you the names of these people. I just have to invoke the emotion of this thing. Go, I'm on a stream. Close the door. Thank you. The kids are always looking for me. But and then I can use this now. I have this lie. This thing is in my back pocket. I can write this letter, get this thing that I want done. Oh, look, now I'm in front of the friggin' public. They all know now. Hadn't you ever told a really big lie when you were a kid, and then you get caught on it, and you just have to keep lying to just keep it going, and it gets way out of hand? That's what this seems like to me.
The snowball effect.
Yeah, that's what this seems like to me. Like, she told an attention-seeking lie for her own gain, and it snowballed out of her hands way faster than she thought it would.
Is it possible that just you tell a lie and just maybe you just want to go away when you get caught?
Yeah, but at that point in time, Memes, it's a case of, if you told a lie and it's now been picked up to the point of if you told a lie and you've literally just been told by the DNC and the rest of basically America that you need to go and testify, you can't really say to him, yeah, I don't want to, even though she did, and try to get out of it by saying that she can't fly, and then being proven that she could 2 weeks beforehand.
I usually say, if you, for example,
Can I just point out we have 4 fellow furries on the stream? 5.
That's not. I'm not furry, so people know. Okay.
Well, it's all right. I'm a scaly. I'm just a subsect.
Isn't that the opposite of furry, though?
Well, I'm just going with the Illidan, and I believe he has extra hair, so I think that classifies him as at least anthropomorphic.
Wait, Illidan?
Well, yeah, I'm encompassing demons too.
Oh, I
We're
like
we're a big tent in the greater deviant art and other
I think
communities.
I'm probably the most furriest out of everyone.
No, I'm actually controlled by a cat. In fact, I'm actually a cat, apparently.
This is true.
Don't count me amongst the furries if you were. I'm not. My name is Wolfchild because my great grandfather was Native American and he used to call me Wolfchild. Like it is actually my name, part of it.
Oh, so you're a wolf spirit.
I guess if you want to go all liberally with it, with the two spirits, or what is it they call it?
Well, so what you're welcome in the control alt right. Furries are welcome whether it's in actual physicality or spirit.
Okay.
Yay!
Wait, what are alt furries?
It's okay. We accept you here.
Okay. The gingers accepted me too. I just had to give them my soul first.
Oh, you're welcome.
You don't have a soul.
No, I'm a bottle red.
She doesn't have a soul now.
Yeah, I don't have a soul anymore.
Because the word we use, we got the weirdest word over here for a ginger is a ranger. So the word ranger is short for orangutan.
Yeah.
Oh, they're funny.
That's fucked up.
See,
yeah, so that's why hey, you're a ranger.
Sorry, go on.
I thought President Trump liked orangutans.
Probably. We've got the terminology of a ginger. We've got terminology of a ginger in the UK.
Of a Ginyu? You guys got scouters?
No, not a Ginyu. Not a Ginyu. I'm going to be specific. As a Ging-er. A Ging-er. It's an abbreviation of two words. It's an abbreviation of ginger and Minger, which Minger means ugly. But we generally, or used to call ginger people Gingers as a ginger Minger.
I think the ranger is
still starts in 2 hours.
My family doesn't seem to understand the concept of I'm in a stream, and they keep coming to chat with me like it's normal.
well, welcome to the internet, circa 2018.
Yay!
Yeah, before they all came and lived at my house, I just got to come out here and stream and make hubby watch the kids, and it was all good.
Oh,
no
so it's the same thing.
No, I get all kinds of interruptions now.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm sure she doesn't mean it as in I get lots of interruptions and I don't like it. I'm sure it's just a case of I want my time, god damn it.
Yes.
Oh, you're talking about with the kids. I thought you were talking about the people on the stream.
No. I get interrupted by, the kids and my family, my brother, my sister, and everything. Hubby knows better. He doesn't want to have to chat with me, so he lets me chat with y'all.
Oh.
Well, we're grateful anyway on either way. Should we get back to the Kavanagh stuff, or does anybody else want to move on to a different topic?
Either way is fine with me. I could rant about that. She pisses me off.
Sure,
go
ahead.
Rant about it, or we could rant about something else. It's fine.
How about where in the world is Rod Rosenstein? Because that was actually supposed to happen yesterday. They postponed it till next week. Because here's the thing, even to the Kavanaugh thing, they're going to do a 1-week investigation. Then what happens? President Trump at some time next week can meet with Rod Rosenstein and completely spin the narrative again.
I know the name Rod
Rosenstein. Go on, carry on, Amanda.
Sorry, I was just asking who Rod Rosenstein is. I know that name, but I can't remember who it is.
He's the gentleman that appointed Mr. Mueller to the Russia investigation.
All right.
He could up to be potentially charged with treason. Because he literally is the guy that he purported maybe I should wear a wire. Some folks are saying it's a joke, but there are other folks saying he wasn't joking. He's talking about wearing a wire, essentially entrapping the president of the United States, and then utilizing that information to invoke the 25th Amendment. If that's not treason, then I'm not really sure what is then.
Yeah, how is that not bigger than Watergate? Like, what?
Well, that's what I'm saying is regardless of whatever happens with Mr. Kavanaugh, just everything is just such a dumpster fire. It's just this will be something other major because you're talking about like a top official, I believe, is in the Justice Department, potentially in collusion with the FBI, according to certain folks. I believe, was it Lisa Page or something, one of the FBI agents that ended up being terminated for inappropriate conduct.
Yeah.
This could get extremely messy. I mean, yeah.
Is this Kavanaugh shit just the smoke and mirrors to make us forget that? And then
I did not think of that until actually now.
Yeah,
I think
thought
it
it was
might
the
be a
reverse.
two-pronged attack. I think it might be a two-pronged attack, actually, to the point of being able to attack Donald Trump themselves in general with the thing that we've just mentioned, but also with the Kavanaugh thing. It's a case of if the attack doesn't work generally, then you also have a fallback, which is not giving the Republicans in perception the control of the Senate.
Oh, I have a plan. Attack.
Yeah, but you're a dragon.
Well, yeah, that's what dragons do.
Arr.
Yeah, I think they're just going to come out with another new outrage thing next so that we'll forget about this one and forget about the last one and the last one.
But how many more do we need? This is not going down a good path, Amanda.
It's going to keep happening. It's just going to keep over and over. They're just going to keep bringing
How
forth
do we
new
fix it? How do we fix it?
Get rid of the Associated Press might be a good start.
No, but aren't they actually accurate though? It's just where it iterates from then. When it comes from the Associated Press, how many lines in reporting procedures and stories and rehashes does it go through? Isn't that essentially what we're arguing about? Oh, you're not telling the truth. It's just no. It's
have you read some of the news articles that go out there? Have you seen the grammar mistakes? Have you seen the spelling mistakes that are in most?
It makes me very sad. It makes me think like the people on the stream right now might be able to do as good or sometimes a better job.
Possibly, but my point is that
why aren't we?
My point is that you're trying to suggest that it goes through multiple sections or multiple rereadings. If that was true and it was factually checked, why are there so much grammatical errors and spelling mistakes?
Well, where is it coming from? I mean, typically that sounds like sloppiness. Perhaps maybe they don't have enough editors around. I mean, why would that be? I mean, are they having layoffs?
What you mean, like CNN, NBC, ABC, The Guardian, other leftist tabloids? Well, tabloids in general, actually.
People make mistakes.
Others are falling as well, and on the right.
I think the Associated Press, in and of itself, just breeds laziness in journalism. In and of itself, like none of them have to go out and investigate this shit for themselves. They just get this story and go run with it.
I remember when Anderson Cooper was actually reporting in Libya and bombs were going off in Libya. I'm like, holy shit, that's freaking dangerous. And then when I see the same folks on the news and they're reporting on the president tweeted tonight, I'm like, okay, if you're filling up half your show with something that somebody said on the internet, that seems lazy.
Yeah, and you just proved Amanda's argument and disproved your argument.
Which argument?
The fact that the Associated Press need to be scrapped because they're lazy and they don't report on the actual news. They want to make the news. A journalist's job is not to make news, it's to report it.
No, I wasn't arguing that at all. I'm saying a lot of times you get a quick blurb of some numbers and words spoke that are put out there, and then whoever ends up reporting on it, they end up usually putting a bit of their perspective, some may say spin on it, and it ends up seeming like a completely different news story depending on who you're listening to.
Yeah, which is proving my...
No, I'm saying the Associated Press typically proves like actual factual information that is confirmed and reported on, but then depending on if you're watching CNN or Fox News, it may look like you're viewing two completely different stories.
You mean factual news like strippers pissing on your president?
Well, yeah.
Yeah, see, my point is they don't have to actually go out and find any factual news. They don't have to check if anything is factual or not. They just, here's the story. It's put right before you. And rather than 50,000 voices all across the nation telling you different stories of different things they went out and found in their local area, you're all hearing the exact same story. And it's national news because the Associated Press decided it's national news and we all ran it.
But there's other local sightings too, because you could have your local Associated Press too. It's just, do those stories make it up the grapevine that are going to be reported on like by the bigger guys, right?
Well, I mean, and then you have laziness within the local. They don't even have to go search for their own local stories and do anything investigative. They get it right there from their easy local Associated Press source, and this is our local news because these people decided this is our local news. We didn't have to actually go work for the people that go out and do the work. They're not even going out and doing work. They're looking online to find it. Like, I don't understand how anything actually gets reported. Where do you find actual stories? Nobody's doing it anymore.
Oh, because people want more clicks.
Yeah, that's we're heading for a Black Mirror kind of world. It's not good.
Yeah.
Is there like a way to avoid like going through this mirror?
Yeah, stop trying to stifle alternative media on YouTube and other of that ilk. That way,
well,
you can have a selection of actual news reporting from local areas.
Well, MC did tell me to look in the mirror earlier, and I told him it was terrifying.
I argue that what we need to do is change the way we build and do cities and stuff. But they know. Oh, go ahead. Somebody whistling to talk.
I think that was a dog.
Oh, okay. I thought somebody was whistling to get them to shut up so they could talk.
Bird. It's a bird.
But they know the answer. They did the experiments way back in the 70s and shit. Mouse Utopia. There's only a certain amount of population that can be sustained within an area size before the animals within that population start going fucking crazy in the exact ways we see the world going crazy.
Yep.
Wait, are you saying we should band together and do something?
I'm saying we should not band together. I'm saying we should spread apart a little bit.
Well, we could still be friends.
Yeah, we just need more elbow room. There's too many people living.
Oh, dude, I love more elbow room. Dude, when I got extra leg room going down to Disney, I'm like, ooh, this was nice. But we had to be responsible and help people during an emergency.
See, I actually agree with Amanda that I do feel that we do need to spread out more, because I feel the reasons why politics is becoming so divisive, bar obviously identity politics in itself, which is a whole different issue. I honestly think that the idea of everybody being on top of everybody and knowing everybody's business, I think that doesn't help humanity. All that does is help people specifically target that person. Because you can target that person, you then think that you've destroyed their arguments, which you haven't. You've only just gone after the person. And I think we do need to spread out and realize that ideas are ideas and people are people again.
Exactly. And people need to, I don't know, be able to handle a discussion. Like, I got banned off Twitter for a week because a chick couldn't handle me having a discussion with her. She wanted to get all butthurt and start making personal attacks. And then get all butthurt that I was better at that than her.
Oh, so you're just having a bit of banter.
Yeah. Like, I don't know. I don't understand why people, they can't have conversations anymore. It's really annoying.
Yeah.
Well, everyone thinks everyone's lying.
Yeah. Or that they're a Nazi. Everybody's a Nazi. Or a leftist Nazi. Like, however.
It's a very low resolution analysis.
Well, I actually think it's slightly different. I honestly think that anybody that, I include myself in this situation as well, I think the people that try to talk on situations and their political understandings or social understandings of what's going on use a version of their truth. And I think because people use a version of their truth, they think it is the truth. And because they think it is the truth, they are the arbiter of truth. So when somebody comes with a counterpoint, and as I said, I include myself in this, people will viscerally defend themselves to the point of going, no, I know this is true. I know this is this. And even though they may be factually wrong, they're still going to defend themselves because people think that they know the truth. Because we're all humans and we're all fallible.
It's true, and it all sounds like a little bit religious there. Some may say, in some ways.
I've been saying that for years. Memes, go away.
I like you.
I'd like you too.
Yeah, I don't know. People are all fucking nuts. The whole world is nuts. We're about due to destroy ourselves back to the Stone Age again.
Yeah, can we avoid that, please?
I don't know if it's possible. Like, the newest, archaeological evidence and everything, they're saying that we did that before. That all the newest evidence shows that there were advanced civilizations before. So
that's where Atlantis went?
I don't know that they've actually found anything that they're claiming is Atlantis. I think they have like 6 sites that they say might be Atlantis, don't they?
Well, maybe they're decoys for the real Atlantis.
But I think the real Atlantis is actually in Africa. Isn't that
the newest one? Yeah.
No. I thought that was
Yeah.
Wakanda. But no, you want to know where Atlantis is? It's actually the homeland of Asgardia. You're welcome. First space nation.
Exactly. Thank you. Oh, sorry. Lonely, I think you have something to say.
Oh, the birds finally shut up. He was singing.
Yeah.
He's been singing the Star Wars theme over and over again. It's like he's because if I do the opening, he continues it. To
Yeah.
Star Wars. Come on, sing.
He's telling you no.
He's like, I'm gonna be a dick.
It's the Star Wars. Okay, enough.
That's a cool bird.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. That is...
My grandma used to have this parrot, and she would stick it on us when she got mad at us.
No.
It would chase us through the house and shit. It was fun.
I don't know, but like when because he does the wolf whistling like, and then I'm thinking, okay, which one of us is going to get caught for sexual harassment? Is going to be me or is it the bird?
Well, you can just tell the judge it was your bird.
I don't know. That didn't work for
Am I
Dangula.
responsible? Because it's like it's cockatiel rape culture. So, like,
Yeah, they'll get you for turning the bird into a sexist, like they got Dankula for turning the dog into a Nazi.
Whoa.
Yeah, like
there you go. There's precedent.
I'll be the one in the trouble for cultivating like toxic masculinity into my bird.
Yes,
that's true.
Yeah,
I thought a horse was about to win a lawsuit. No, there was a case where if the actual animal wins, it'll be like the first like actual criminal or civil suit from an animal to a person.
that'll be hilarious. Somewhere there's a mare that's a dog. I remember I saw that.
Yeah, I remember that.
The choices there must have been really bad. You can have a rabbit, you can have a dog, or you can have a cow.
No, it was only for like a long weekend or something.
It was just Hillary Clinton or the dog. That's all.
Oh, that dog's gonna have to win.
Yeah.
Well, Hillary might have more experience.
She'll have more experience, but at least the dog's honest.
Well, I think Senator Sanders said it wasn't the greatest experience or judgment.
Having the chick that set the precedent that a child could want to be raped by an adult, like as a defense attorney, that is never going to be the president. Like that was never going to happen.
Yeah. But isn't that like kind of what happened to Milo in like a weird reversed way?
What?
Sorry, what?
Didn't Milo speak of his time with like Father John or something like that, where he ended up being more of the aggressor?
You misunderstand. Milo initiated, or says he initiated it to be able to do with the priest. So he says so. The fact of what Amanda is saying is that he got picked up by a trucker, did not want to have, and was raped, and for Hillary Clinton then to say the rape as a defense kind of is.
Oh.
Well, I'm also saying
that,
that's
horrible.
Milo couldn't have wanted what happened to him because he was a child and didn't understand that. And as an adult, he just justifies what happened to him by saying that he wanted it. So an adult sitting there and setting the precedent as a legal defense that a child could want this from an adult is disgusting.
Yeah, I think that was better. I'm going to go with what Amanda said. We'll talk about. Does anybody else want to go down a particular avenue? Has anybody else got anything that they wanted to bring up?
I actually got to run. I gotta go do a job real quick.
Yeah,
you go have a shit, mate. See you in a bit.
All right, I'll talk to you guys later.
Bye. I'm probably gonna have to bounce back out too. I thought I'd have more time to stream, but my mother is here with my nephews, so I gotta go play with them.
Thank you very much for coming.
All right, peace, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Well, What about you two?
You're roboting.
I'm always roboting. I am
Where's the-
robot.
where's the other? Oh, Jay Willie, where did he go?
Not 100% sure.
Sometimes people disappear and you see the mute button. It's like, what the fuck?
He muted himself for a while ago. Is there anything that you wanted to talk about at all, Wolf?
Not really.
No, that's fine. Did you want to have a last word on the Kavanagh type of thing, and then we can end the
I think I
stream?
pretty much said what I said before. Like that, it was pretty brief.
Not a problem. Right, I don't really have much to say, to be fair. I know Jay Willie already had his final word on what we were talking about, so I'll just quickly do mine, and then we'll end the stream. I don't really have too much to say about the issues of what I've gone through. Most of the issues, I think most people with the ounce of common sense would actually realise that's telling the truth. One person isn't. One person is providing and hasn't. With that, mostly to do with a political stance rather than any sort of form of justice. And I think that and rape allegations to the point of a political stance, heinous, and both parties in America should absolutely, more so the Democrats than the Republicans are actually pushing it, but both of them should be ashamed of themselves for even entertaining the idea of taking this to a it completely and utterly demeans the idea of rape and glorifies it to a media point, glorifies it to a point of watching reality TV show, as in putting that sort of. So I think most of the issues have already been covered. That's my opinion. I will be doing a video for Jeremy Corbyn because there's a new book come out that explains what Corbyn, and I'm very interested in understanding what Corbynism is. So I'm going to be reading that, understanding it with all of you guys. So hopefully that should be out on Monday. With that being said, guys, thank you very much for coming to the video. Thank you very much, panel, for coming onto the panel and actually speaking to me. Thank you very much. I'll speak to you all again real soon. Bye-bye for now, guys.